This is our podcast called The Alternative.
And
Um,
my name is Peely.
and my name is Mai. And our podcast is about just like kind of breaking down some of the concepts in crypto and explaining them a bit more thoroughly. And then going over, like the pros and cons of what's going on in the space.
And
Um,
we're doing this because we really, really wanted to just bring a different perspective, a woman's perspective. There aren't that many women in crypto.
yeah,
And we just wanted to ask a lot of questions that aren't being asked and talk about things that really aren't being discussed in the space and just bring new light to it and present this to people that may not typically be interested in cryptocurrency or might feel too intimidated to learn about it. And we want to be able to present this in like a really digestible and fun way.
for sure. Yeah, we just feel like there's a lot of conversations not being had. There's a lot of hype around cryptocurrencies and NFTs, but like, there are repercussions behind some of these projects. And we really just need to fully explain them before we can, be fully excited about certain things in the crypto space. And yes, it's a new field, it's definitely a new industry, but I think people should understand what's happening behind the scenes and how, other companies are getting involved and the repercussions of that as well.
And we are here to help bring you new stories and to help guide you through both our journey and your own journey. To not be scammed and to find the best investments, the best projects that have the most utility that can help you get ahead in this space and in um, our new coming financial sector and our brand new global digital space.
Yeah, that was a really good explanation. So for this episode, we wanted to start off with the impact of crypto influencers,
Um,
because
Yes. Like, can we please talk about them? Because I am over the shenanigans.
yeah, it's
Um,
it's gotten a little weird in this space in that
a
context.
little weird, a lot of weird.
It's
There's like a whole industry for just like crypto influencer farms, and it's entirely too much. One guy in particular, I probably one of the most egregious actors is Jake Paul. I know
Yep.
a lot of people have heard about him probably. Oh my goodness.
Where do we begin with Jake Paul?
I just so first off, like if you don't know who Jake Paul is, who is Jake Paul? This guy started off on Vine making like TikToks before
Mm,
TikTok was a thing, before TikTok existed, before it ever existed. And then he ended up on like Disney Channel with his brother for like a few shows that I don't know weren't super popular. I don't really remember them growing up. Maybe that was a little bit past my time. And
mhm.
now he just does like cringe shit on YouTube and boxes people and makes like crypto scams and NFT scams and general like grifter self-help like life coach scams as well, which is not who I would advise or recommend most people
Yeah.
get their crypto knowledge or education or investment advice from, right?
Well, I think he kind of set it up where he was like, "Oh, I took my money from Vine, and then like the first check I got, I put it into Bitcoin. So like I know all about cryptocurrency because I bought Bitcoin 8 years ago. So it kind
Yeah,
of gives like a false profit situation where like people feel like he's in the space because he made a purchase a long time ago, which is not entirely the case. Like you can purchase crypto and like be successful. That doesn't mean you know anything about it, just to be
right. Or
clear.
that you be like guiding people, or like that you have the authority to go off and start your own
Yeah.
projects. And even like, so for example, I learned about Bitcoin back when it was like 60 cents, 68 cents. I remember
Mhm.
I used to follow a Twitter account that
Yeah.
it would tweet the price of Bitcoin every day. And I was like, oh yeah, this is super cool. I can totally put $100 into it. But then I didn't because like I was like, oh no, I don't understand this. And then I forgot about it. Kind of wish I hadn't done that all these years later. But you live and you learn. That doesn't mean that I know anything less about cryptocurrency just because I didn't invest in Bitcoin back in 2012, you
But
know?
I think that's a good thing to say because a lot of people will think, well, this person had this amount of money and then he has this amount in result of his purchase. It creates a really fine divide with capital, with people investing. Now that people who have more capital are able to invest into projects early, they're able to show, the receipts of having more money. But it's kind of like, well, you had more than the average user. So, of course, your results are different. They're inflated, they look better on paper.
Well, that, and also I think just as a society, we really need to, like, we're stuck in this whole paradigm that we live in a meritocracy, and people end up earning a lot of money or being really successful because they're so smart
Mhm.
and they earned it. And just completely ignoring the fact that a lot of the times people fail upwards.
Yeah,
And
it's true.
I think he's a great example.
Oh,
And then
failing
you
upwards,
fail
yeah.
upwards.
Jake
You
Paul.
fail upwards. You get a little bit of fame, and because you're considered like conventionally attractive, you gain a following outside of like your Disney Channel or whatever. So you become YouTube famous. You end up doing things, and then people begin to trust you, right? But even before his crypto scams, like, why is this guy trustworthy? He started this thing called Mystery Brand, and it's essentially kind of like an Ipsy type thing where you pay a subscription fee and you get like a box every month, and like people are supposed to get certain prizes in like the boxes or whatever, and the winners apparently did not receive their prizes. Also, CoffeeZilla exposed him for one of like many NFT scams recently.
Well,
Shout out to CoffeeZilla. Go check him out if you guys haven't, because he does great deep dives on a lot of these people. But yeah, he exposed him on an NFT scam, his involvement with SafeMoon, which was also
yeah.
like a scam and a rug pull. And like, not to mention, this guy is like registered in Puerto Rico, so he is like using the tax loophole. In addition to his scams, he's like further like gaming the system.
Well,
And
I
I
think
just,
CoffeeZilla, he like broke down how he did it, right? Like he was saying that he would create a wallet and then like
mm-hmm.
receive the money and then move it. So it's like he kept like he had a pattern. It's like send it to this wallet. 4 days later, I'll promote it. Then I'll move the money. And then before the project crashes, does whatever, he'll sell all the cryptocurrency. So he's not even tied to whatever the project does. It's very odd. I mean, if this was a stock, everyone would be like, what the fuck, but because it's
Yeah,
crypto.
I think the one that he did it specifically, that like that CoffeeZilla did that breakdown
Hmm.
specifically for, was his Sacred Devils NFT scam, which is
Hmm.
like not a thing. Nothing's happening with it. He was also involved in the Save the Kids. It was like a charity NFT auction. So
Hmm.
whoever like was running Save the Kids, like, this is my understanding of the situation. Whoever was running Save the Kids, they reached out to Jake Paul. They're like, "Oh yeah, hey, we're gonna pay you like X amount." I believe it came out to be like $180,000 that they were
Hmm.
paying him to like influence and promote Safe Moon. I'm sorry, not Safe Moon. The Save the Kids, the NFT charity coin,
Hmm.
and only $10,000 ended up being donated to charity. This guy made out with 180, and then everyone else that like paid into it got rug pulled.
See, that's another
And
thing with crypto and charity. Like that shouldn't be able to happen. There should be like a legal way because hypothetically that goes against like the rule of cryptocurrency, everything being accessible on the blockchain and then them not using the funds after stating it. Like
well,
that
also
is,
it's just kind of gross. And just
yeah,
like,
blatantly,
you
but
know, why? The unfortunate thing is that no matter how many times this guy scams people, he has a following to where people are going to continue to trust him, and people are going to continue to, want to like support whatever scams he promotes. And I think that people don't really like take the time, like the people that will like be influenced by him don't take the time to sit and break down, like, wow, this guy did this really shady thing, did this really shady thing, did this really shady thing, and why is he like shilling all of these projects to me? Like, it's not like one project or two projects. No, it's like multiple projects, and every single time you do it, like nothing comes out great from it.
but I
So
think
how do you
that's the
even still have like a platform or a following?
Well, it's the issue where basically let's set the formula for doing these little scams with influencers. Project A goes to Jake Paul or whatever, says, "Hey, we want you to pump this coin." uh,
Mm-hmm.
Said person takes the money, pumps it. Hypothetically, they are not responsible legally or otherwise for any facilitation of the project. And once anything negative happens, they literally say, "I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't made knowledgeable of this. I was just paid to promote it. I'm so sorry that that happened. The developers didn't even tell me." So it's
But
this
the
thing where
thing
they,
is, no, sorry to interrupt. The thing
no, it's
is
fine.
that when they do that, they're not even like acknowledging the fact that when they're shilling these coins, that like it's an ad or that it's a paid promotion. Like
Because
at
there's no
least be
law for
forthright
crypto
and
yet.
forthcoming with it. Yeah, I mean, so for example, like Kim Kardashian when she did the Etherscan thing, which we can get into a little bit later, she when she posted about it on her Instagram, she put that it was an ad. She did like the
Well,
hashtag
Kim's also
ad.
a lawyer, so she knows how not to get sued. So
Well,
even
so
in a new field, she's
right.
like a
Um,
lawyer, air quote,
baby bar. But
baby boy. But she knows. She knows. She
she
this
knows.
isn't her
Yeah,
first
she
rodeo
knows,
with
and
endorsements.
she's right. Exactly, and that's my thing. It's like at a minimum, like one, I know that Kim Kardashian knows absolutely nothing about cryptocurrency. But at least she's saying ad like, hey, I'm being paid to promote this. Um, with
But he knows if he
Jake
starts
Paul,
saying it's an ad, it fucks up his little plan. Like he can't finesse
right?
and move this
Exactly.
money. It like it puts some chain links on his arm because it's like, well, I admitted to it. Because he knows this stuff. It's aside from it being an advertising scam, it's an asset scam in that context because the value of the things that he's selling decrease and people can't get out of the project in time. So it's a
Right.
two-part scam.
Exactly.
So I think he knows that and doesn't want to acknowledge that. And by not stating that it's an ad, he is like his hands are like open. Because in another interview, someone else was he was just like, "Yeah, I had no idea. I'm unrelated to the project. Like I didn't know." And that's what he's gonna do every time.
Yeah, and just all of these times, like you're just so lucky that. So, for example, when he started his crypto zoo thing, which
Mm-hmm.
it's like an buying, trading NFT animals that are actually like stock footage, photoshopped images. Like there's one that it's like an elephant, like and CoffeeZilla was able to very easily like find the stock photo image of the elephant and then also of the butterfly and then photoshop the butterfly wings onto the elephant, and that was an NFT that was being sold for like I don't even know how many Ethereum. And this guy made out on like just this project alone with 1.3 million ETH pre-launch.
So that's the problem too. A lot of people don't understand the whole thing of IP. You can't just take someone's image and go make an NFT out of it and not think that they're not gonna go. We're gonna see so many lawsuits in the next 10 years over like
No,
IP and infringible rights and like taking someone else's idea on the internet and making money from it and not even contributing the original person that created the original content.
no, that, but also, so like if you go to the website itself, and that's cryptozoo.co, and you look at it, like you can kind of tell. So, like as much as I think that he's like horrible and a scammer and stuff, and I feel bad for people that like are influenced by him and buy into these scams, it's like, nah, if you look at the website,
I know,
and
but
I'm
we have to
looking at it
remember
right now.
who is he talking to? He's talking to minors, kids,
Yeah, a bunch of
people that have
teenagers.
no knowledge. So that's another issue I have with these influencers. They're speaking to people who have no technical knowledge of cryptocurrency, and they know that. So when they appeal to them, they're appealing to their audience to invite them into crypto, and they know due to their
Mm-hmm.
lack of knowledge that they're going to get them to buy anything. It doesn't even have to be functional, and it's almost like taking candy from a baby again and again and again, and that's the problem.
It's like literal highway robbery, and it's just so easy for them because one, yeah, like people are kind of dumb, but also they're just so shot out about it, and it just I guess that kind of also makes it seem like super trustworthy because this guy's like super shot out about it. So
But
why
another thing
why
that's
wouldn't
interesting to me is that I don't even think that some of these people advertising it actually own it. And that to me is an issue legally because it's just like you guys are advertising a current cryptocurrency that you don't even probably have in your portfolio. You're not carrying past the point of expiration. And that to me should be a huge red flag. Like anyone, it's like someone's saying that, oh, I'm like selling houses but doesn't own a house, or like, or I'm selling cars but I don't own a car, or like, I don't own any tangible assets similar to this in my portfolio. But more
Right. It's
specifically, I
like
don't hold said asset that I'm advertising.
right, like you're not gonna get life insurance from somebody that doesn't have life insurance,
You're actually
right?
required as a life insurance salesperson to have life insurance for that purpose. So it's a
Right.
little weird. Yeah.
And like granted, like from a legality standpoint, like of course, like we have celebrities all the time that are like, oh my goodness, look at my McDonald's meal, and they probably don't ever eat McDonald's. So like yeah, like I don't think it's horrible, but I think at the same time, like that they're doing ads. I think there needs to be like some sort of legal mechanism to require people, especially influencers, to acknowledge the fact that they are doing an advertisement if they're going to be like shilling, whatever project comes out of their ass.
Yeah, I mean for
Another
sure.
thing, it's like also the kind of these names, like I don't know, they're just so not serious, so not serious. Like he had another one called Dink Doink, which quote unquote Dink Doink aims to be the first ever decentralized media franchise where token holders receive an NFT for every episode that drops. So like kind of like cartoons, and they kind of made it look kind of like South Park, and
Um,
it just no. And then it goes on to say Dink Doink is a community meme token forked from the Australian Safe Shepherd, so ass, dollar sign ass, blockchain protocol, whatever, whatever that's even built on. And then it says Dink Doink is blurring the lines between entertainment and crypto. Um, I don't think those are the lines that Dink Doink is blurring, but okay, sure, fine, whatever, Dink Doink. Um, yeah, and it's just clownery. It's just absolute like clownery,
but
and there's
he's done
no
worse since then.
legal
He also has two projects. One is an NFT collection just with pictures of himself. Just weird. And then another one, which I'm very afraid of, is the fractional NFT thing, where
What's that?
essentially, well, it's where he's saying like you put the asset in a vault, and then users are able to buy a fraction of the NFT. So he's advertising and saying, well, if you can't afford like a full board ape, you can own like 3% of one. Which to me is scary for two reasons. It's like, do we want to start fractionalizing NFTs? Like, because that sounds security friendly for one. And then do we want to that has the asset in hand and trust that they'll maintain its value, and then my representational value will always be honored? What if they get hacked? What if the assets get stolen from their property? It's like I have
Right,
to trust Jake Paul's establishment to, you know what I mean? I don't trust him to do anything for me. So that's scary to me. And it's like, what if you're
right.
overselling something you've already sold in the fractional asset form of the asset?
And we don't know for a fact
Yeah,
like that they're not doing that because coders these days, we can't like actually
prove.
trust a lot of you know a lot of projects. And granted, like you're significantly more educated than the average person that's buying an NFT, so you're going to consider these things. I'm going to consider these things. But a lot of people just don't, it wouldn't even occur to them. They have no idea that these things are like important and that they should be looking at them and asking these questions before they even go into buying an NFT or any type of project, right? But NFT
Yeah.
specifically, as far as this case, and yeah, it's kind of tragic.
I'm just
Um,
scared that this would be the SEC's way of saying it's a security because you broke it down into little parts. So, like,
well, so
Jake
and
Paul could
that's
be
the
the
thing.
end of it all. Like, oh God, it would
So,
be him.
there is actually like a real world like fine art type deal thing like that. It's very similar. But they are like it is through the SEC. Like they're already like approved and like allowed to be doing what they're doing.
Hmm.
But for example, like you and I can own fractional shares of like a Basquiat painting.
That's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, it's
But
super cool.
it
Again,
has a
like
set value. That item would have a set value. Crypto NFTs are going to change. It's always going to be set to what's going on in the market, whatever they're doing on OpenSea, the bidding wars. Like, So that's why this is stupid. Thank you for reminding me
Right.
again. Like that doesn't make any sense in that context. Why would you do it?
That, and it's like, one, art is subjective, but two, NFT art is even more subjective. And
It
if
is.
there's not any like value or utility, like NFTs are great and can have a lot of use case and real utility like in the real world. But when it comes to art, like it's kind of like, nah.
And then he was also mixing it with like real items like rare Pokemon cards and then making that an NFT as well. So I'm just
Which
like,
sounds super sketch. That sounds like a licensing thing, right?
I
Especially,
feel
I don't
like
think.
this is the problem. People are experimenting in this space in ways that will literally reflect negatively and literally give the SEC like, oh, thanks for that. And it's not even crypto's fault. It's these people jumping in and taking like self ownership that no one gave them in the crypto space. And I think that's a huge red
Yeah,
flag.
like who gave you this authority? And then a bunch of
No
like,
one. Your money,
donors
you
are
think
just
your
like,
money provides you authority to do these things, and it's like no one acts for this at all.
no, that. And also it's like, I mean, I'm 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 biased, but I'm definitely kind of stuck in between. Like, one, the SEC is not going after the bad actors. Like, they're just completely like not even paying attention to them and wasting their time and efforts and resources on legitimate projects and companies.
I
And
mean,
then all of this shit is happening, and they're like, "Oh, I don't see anything. I don't hear
well, I
anything.
mean, they
What's
like
going
to
on?"
acknowledge it when it's convenient for them. Like, oh, we want to protect retailer traders. No, you don't care. Like, let's
Yeah,
just
because you
start
harmed a whole
there
bunch of them. You harmed
because
you harmed a whole bunch of them.
you're harming a whole group right now by overextending a lawsuit for no apparent reason. But that's another podcast episode. But like they always say that, yet these things are happening on their side. This is someone who's not working in the crypto space but jumping in, and to me, that should be a regulatory thing. They're not in the space. They're not a developer. They don't have a developing team. They don't have a crypto-based company, yet they're walking in and branding with companies and using their influence and financially benefiting. That is a direct issue that the SEC should discuss because it's someone
No,
coming into the crypto space and taking advantage of it.
that, and you just made me think of something that is like totally necessary and should be implemented like on a larger scale. But developers need to have like a code of ethics, because why are you developing projects for these scam artists?
So the thing with that is let's again, I'm gonna always return to this theory. It's the responsibility theory. It's like, oh well, the company base of the blockchain came to and founded a developer team, just coded a project. They did not know. That's what happened with Safe Moon. Like some of the people on the team were like, "Oh, we just developed the project. We weren't aware of the ongoings. We did highlight some issues. It's just the devised responsibility clause. It's like everyone can bone out. And developers, unfortunately, so for them, I can honestly say this. I think that they are only required to do what the project is requiring them to do, or because it takes a lot going into that. So it's like the Yuga Labs thing, if it's not coded to be deflationary, like we would hope that we have team like led projects, but we don't. It's literally just a company creating an asset or a cryptocurrency and doing that. But I think the development is secondary. You have a
But
development.
didn't SafeMoon? I believe they ended up changing the code like after the fact to allow
Yeah, and
for
that's
like.
another thing. That's a whole issue. That's a whole nother like. But again, it's like you can blame the development team. You can be like, well, the first development team coded it wrong, so they are the reason why this project failed. So then that becomes
Mhm.
an issue too. So I would literally I would hold the development team has as much accountability as the team that employs them, because it's how the company navigates with the development team. If they're always aspiring to like check code flaws and like work on things and like do new things, and they're cool. But if it's like they blame their dev team, and then the company doesn't take responsibility, that's the issue. So people using the dev team as a scapegoat. So it's if a dev team themselves were to make a project, I don't think what I'm trying to say is I don't think crypto projects are started with from dev team up. I think they're the opposite. It's like
That makes
branding
sense.
hired, and then we hire a dev team, and then they work intertwined. but then sometimes the
Which
funding is not on the brand, not on the dev team.
I get that. It
That's not an
doesn't
excuse
like
either. It's not an
no,
excuse.
it's
This
definitely
is what I'm
not an
just
excuse.
observing.
And it doesn't seem like it seems counterintuitive, right? To do your marketing and then everything else. Um, but that also is probably a hallmark of something that is a scam, right? Something that is not that was never thought out
I
and
think it's
never
more,
was intended to
yeah,
to like be good or to work, right?
I think it's like what gets the people going. We want to see the art, we want to see the concept, we want to see a group of people. So I'm gonna hire a Discord leader. I'm gonna get a digital imagist who can render shit like automatically. Like, those are the things that they're putting the time and energy. And then as we've seen in these projects, when they fail after Mint, it's because the dev team did not work extensively and test and do 27 tests before release. It was just like, we have this following, let's get the project out now. And that is the
Exactly.
problem.
Right, and it's
That is
like,
the
and that's
problem.
why, and we're definitely going to do an episode about Flare networks. Coming shortly. But that's what I love and respect so much about that project, and actually makes me trust it because they have a following. There's been an airdrop. There's been people waiting. There is a
Yeah.
community around it, and they're like, no, we're not. It's not ready yet. It's not perfect yet.
I was
Like
just thinking that I
we're
love,
not going to release it.
yeah,
And that is just like a huge defining difference between what is real, what is a real team behind a real product that is aiming to solve real world problems and have real value and real utility, and what is a scam, what
for
is
sure.
a quick money
Like,
grab and
absolutely.
probably a rug pull.
Yeah,
And there just has to be like some type of, it has to be both, kind of like when nurses, they're able to tell doctors like, no, I'm not feeling this, I'm not comfortable feeling this.
I didn't
Like
know
there
that.
has
That's
to
cool.
be something, or like administering a medication or whatever, because their license rights on it. There has to be something like that implemented in the crypto space between
Wow.
devs and like
That's
and
the thing. It's like the
product
money. It's the
managers.
money. It's like we don't know how much these devs are getting paid. We don't. There's a lot of money being spent in this space. There is like the mint for um like the land or whatever for Bored Apes, that was like
Hmm.
$300 million. Like,
Yeah,
there's a lot of money happening and being spent. I don't think people are asking questions. I just think they're cashing checks or receiving, Ethereum. Like, questions are not being asked. When you deal with that much money, you kind of do, and I get it. You're scared. You're like, I've never seen this much money before, which is fine.
right.
But like,
Or you get super impressed by it and enticed by it.
but that's what I say. When you look at a project, look at that team. If you saw a developer and they were on another scam coin, guess what they're gonna do next? So it's like we need to start like looking at who made these projects. Like, what did you work on before? Because I don't think that's talked about enough. I don't think we like scan the dev
Yeah, what's your
team.
resume?
Like, we
What's
don't
your
scan the
resume?
dev team and Google the fuck out of them. Because if we did that for each project, we would see this person did a shit coin, this person did a rug, he doesn't know anything about crypto. We would start seeing these faces because what they're if they did it once, they're gonna jump onto a new project. They can do it
And
again and again and again.
yeah, especially if it's not something that occurs to people to check, because like one, it's tech. Most people are incredibly intimidated by anything that has to do with technology, and they're just like,
Sure.
"Oh yeah, like there are these developers and they know way more than I do." And like I'm
No,
just gonna trust them, and
it's
like
not true.
I will never ever ever be able to like understand this. No, you know,
So a lot of the
I,
developers are self-taught in the space because this is not a lot of education you're going to get in school right now. So I'm going to say like
right.
85% of these developers are self-taught in their homes. Like, unless you've
Mm-hmm.
had like there probably are some people that did go to school for like web development and like coding
Yeah,
and
like
technology,
formally.
but I don't think even those people are jumping into the space immediately. It's really people that are like kind of like self-taught and expanded upon that and had success. So
Mm-hmm.
knowing that, you have to be a little bit skeptical when it comes to like the decisions that are being made behind the scenes.
But again, like I just don't think that these like things occur to the average person or the average like new crypto investor, right?
I
And
mean, they're getting
I
scammed, so
no,
it
yeah,
is
they're definitely getting scammed, and then they're like, "Oh my goodness, no, all of it is a scam." And that
no.
sucks.
I
because
mean,
it drives them away. And then like this is an emerging asset class. This is one of the biggest wealth transfers in our lifetimes, probably in history.
but
And
to me, it's silly though because it's like, why would you not research anything you're buying? Why would you buy something just because someone told you to without any evidence? It's the
because
same for
it
anything
right, but it
that falls
goes
upon
back to
you.
like that influencer, yes, for sure. But I definitely feel like there is a certain amount of responsibility like that rests on the backs of the influencers. Because yeah, sure, Jake Paul is like a total turd, right? He's a joke. Like I don't take him seriously. I don't think most people do. But then you have people like Elon Musk who is worshipped by so many people. And this guy is like, "Oh, Doge," and like dropping memes about Doge, and it made with Doge's tokenomics, like it made it go up to what, like 70 cents.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, and
Doge
then
is
I had,
printing billions every minute. Like
and then
how even able to get so high?
I'm gonna say this to people. I said, even if it goes high, what comes up must go down. And even in the crypto space, it's very true. When you purchase anything, please understand why you're purchasing, the cost it was to purchase. And if you're taking profit, maybe you should just take profit and have a nice day. There's no purpose of holding something for 1,000 years when it's not going to maintain price for 1,000 years. So that's just awareness
Right,
for anyone buying something because it's
unless
fun.
uh, unless yes, because it's fun. Like obviously if it's like a coin with real utility and a real development
And
team and
that
like
doesn't count in this
institutions
category.
behind it, right? Yeah, then for sure hold it for as long as you can. But things with dogs on it are like food.
But if you knew the tokenomics that there were like billions of Doge printed a day, you wouldn't even have touched it. And that's why I told people you wouldn't be in these situations if you did research. Your portfolio wouldn't be 90% negative while holding $10,000 worth of Doge if you did tokenomic research before investing.
Or if as a general thing people didn't like worship the words of like billionaires that became billionaires through like apartheid and mommy and daddy, right?
Yeah,
um
and you
there
shouldn't worship their words. You should see what's in their portfolio, see what's in their asset calendar. And if you can't
even
see it,
if
that's
it
for
is
a
in his
reason.
portfolio, even if it is in his
We would
portfolio,
never
because he
know if
said
it
that
was.
he right, but he said that he did, so like okay, I'm gonna take you at your word that you did. You're the richest man on the planet.
It doesn't matter what he
you
buys. You're
can
right. I feel
afford
it.
you can afford
Yeah, that's
to
fine. I get what you're saying.
lose however much money you want on a doggy meme coin, you know.
Yeah.
It was clearly a rug pull. And I remember when people were like, "Oh my goodness, we gotta buy it. We gotta buy it. We're gonna buy it on Robinhood and whatever." And they're like, "Oh yeah." People are saying that when he goes on TV, like whatever show that he did, that it's gonna skyrocket. And I'm like, absolutely not. Like I
Not.
told people, I said during the episode, like during whatever
They
show he's
sold
supposed to
half
go
their
on,
portfolio.
it's going to like plummet. And I was right. I was right. I definitely could have put a bet on it. I definitely could have traded that in my MetaTrader 4. Because that like was totally fine. I know a lot of people that came out with money like that and didn't get scammed.
I'm just gonna
Um
do one devil advocate. He is working on something where he's trying to send Doge without like a Wi-Fi signal. That's the only one reason why I think he's not a total bag of donkey trash. Because
I mean, but why
if he
even
did
bother
that,
with that?
because hypothetically in a world event we don't have Wi-Fi, what the fuck do we do? Like adjacent.
Use XRP, use XRP and the XPOP protocol, babe.
Wonderful, but there is a class of people that will be terrified to use XRP until this lawsuit's done. So, like any
True.
variety of alternative. If the world's ending, I need to get to my money. Just let's have options. So, it's the only credit to Dogecoin that I have for him for being like a percentage of a decent person is developing that with his technology because he has the capacity to do so. Thank you
My
for that single
question,
gesture.
my question regarding that though is like, it still runs on mining.
I don't know. I have to
It
come
still
back.
runs on mining. Like how
I think it was a frequency thing. I don't
what do you mean?
I think the how he was sending the Doge was on like a different frequency. It wasn't like I don't know much about it. I just have to come back because I was like I was like, but again, he was wrong when he accused like Bitcoin of using too much energy. Like he was that was a really, I mean, obviously
Well,
it uses, but Ethereum uses a
it
lot of
uses
energy.
no, yeah,
Like
anything that uses
anything.
proof of work is going to use a lot of energy because that's
Yeah.
like the whole point. It needs energy to mine and to maintain the hash rate. My thing is what really like just didn't get me, and another reason why I didn't get why people like bought into the hype when he started like shilling Bitcoin was that
Yeah, it
this
was
is like
weird.
the green energy guy with
Yeah. Well, you know he
um
does that so he can buy more. Yeah, he has a habit of doing that so he can go pick it up.
well, also, it's like he bought all of this Bitcoin and then said, "Hey, I just bought all this Bitcoin," and then the price of Bitcoin shot up, and he made
Yeah, I
so much
mean,
money,
he's definitely, but you know,
so
people
much
got to
money.
be smarter. You got to be smarter than that. I mean, if he's saying some, Elon is very strategic. I will give that man. The way he moves and the way he uses his voice, it's a strategy, and I think it
Oh,
should
for
be
sure.
researched and analyzed in like the future. Like he says things at the correct date and time for a certain result, and he gets that result. It doesn't matter what whoever else is involved. Fuck them, apparently. But he says it for a reason, so he can benefit from it. The same thing he did with Twitter previously was like, how much does it cost to buy Twitter? And then, creates all this fiasco and drama and then like, alerts people. Like, did you know before that only 9% of the Twitter board was like, you know, people were on the Twitter board, but the rest of it was like companies. I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know how many companies had shares in Twitter. I wasn't aware of that.
I
But he
didn't
does,
know that either.
I didn't know that either, but it's like,
And countries also countries.
he as weird as he is, he kind of uses his voice to illuminate things, and I do give him credit for that, even though he does manipulate the market with his voice at times in certain contexts.
At times. I mean, it's like not only are you manipulating like the crypto market, but you're manipulating the stock market as well because when you do you're like, "Oh yeah, I just bought all this Bitcoin," and then you increase the price of Bitcoin. All of these stocks that have Bitcoin on their balance sheet, like guess what? All of these companies, they're going up in the stock market too. And how is that fair, right? Because
Yeah,
you know, like how is one person able to single-handedly lift the stock market for all of these different companies that
I
have no
mean,
relationship to him?
that man.
um and yeah, it's just it's kind of crazy. Another fun thing that I may or may not dislike about him, there is a meme and that he posted during his like Doge craze,
Hmm.
and it's kind of like a little bit of a conspiracy theory in the XRP community. But it was a ring with Doge on it,
Hmm.
and it says one coin to rule them all, but it was pointed up in the direction of where it says XRP, and XRP was in the top corner, and it said like XRP, BTC, Doge.
That's
Um,
interesting.
yeah, super cool. People also like really just like break down like things that he says and like try to
Hmm.
figure out if he's speaking in code. They'll
He
even
does
throw
speak in
stuff in
code
like the
sometimes.
Jama. No, he definitely does. Um, like they'll even like throw things in the gematria calculator to like try to see like what the hidden messages are, and I think that's kind of fun. Like Elon is fun
I
when
just
you know.
one man should not have all that power. He's just expanding a
Oh,
little too fast for me in too many
dude,
sectors.
can
And
we?
I would trust him if he didn't have government contracts. Like I would love to believe in the things he said if
Every
he that man
government,
has government contracts. So
every single
I would
government
love to think you're
contract.
for the people, but I know
No, that's
your
what
wealth has been built.
by government subsidies, and you're just like, oh no, I'm not gonna pay taxes, but also like I want to put Neuralink in everybody's brains and like control crypto, and just like because it's fun to speculate,
Mm,
like do
yeah.
you think that? Well, I'm sure Neuralink probably in like 15 or 20 years will really actually become a thing, and it terrifies me. Um, but in the same way that like one day we're gonna have self-driving vehicles that are gonna operate as a DAO and also be able to like just make its own money with its own like Bitcoin or XRP or whatever wallet. I wonder if like he'll end up doing kind of like that same thing with us, like with humans,
I would hope
with
not, because that
Neuralink.
would be slavery again. Once is
With a
enough.
bunch of extra steps for
Once is enough
sure.
for society. Hope we got that message. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't like it when one person controls seven different, like multiple industries that affect our lives in various facets. Like this
Hmm.
man has DNA from dinosaurs. He has spaceships. He has self-driving cars. He has brain chips. That encompasses various different fields that could affect our life. Seeing the
Yeah.
direction of the world that we're going in, and like climate change, like his holds on the future are very strong, and I think we all should be a little bit aware of that and how we navigate that with a close eye. That's my only
Well,
concern
that
with
and
him.
also like the guy has a government contract to deliver weapons around the world in 2 hours or less,
Yep,
which
and
is
now he has Twitter, which is data, and we don't know how he's going to interpret that data and who he's going to interpret that data with, and that is a huge problem. And I would love to have that question answered. If someone could just show me how that would
yeah,
work
and
out,
it's
because
again
that's a little weird.
who elects him? Who elects him?
Well, he
Who
said he's
blesses
going to
him?
put a new CEO on the Twitter board. So I don't, I'm just trying to be open minded, but
Well, even
Elon,
like my whole thing with like Twitter at this point, to where like it really
only
has
social
become the
media.
town square.
Yeah.
It has to. It's going to end up needing to be
I
decentralized.
hate it. I love Twitter. It's the one app that I could disappear off the face of the earth. I'll still be on Twitter though.
I
So,
absolutely listen.
this is
I have
very
had
disheartening to
Twitter
hear.
since, well, I've been on Twitter since I think like 2010.
Same. Yeah.
And it's part of my
Love it.
personality. I have been
I
through
know.
like the swamp of Twitter. It is a
Hmm.
cesspool, and it is probably like one of humanity's biggest detriments, right? Aside from Facebook, but
It
I
is.
love it.
But it could be worse. Like someone was saying, why don't we just have decentralized Twitter? I said, you couldn't ban Nazis on decentralized Twitter. They would have to just stay. That's the
Well,
problem. It's like,
so
you can't.
I
It's
think
decentralized.
people
It's
should be
open.
allowed to tell on themselves. I think
Yeah,
people
I just
should be
don't think
allowed
people
to
should
tell
be.
on
But
themselves.
in the case of like the blind leading the blind, stupid leading the stupid, people
Oh
can
yeah,
encourage other people. You don't want to give them a platform to like group up together and meet up at 12 and like set the town on fire. So it's just like
no,
there has to be boundaries.
you're
Boundaries.
absolutely right. But I figured that that could probably be coded into like a protocol.
It can, but it can also be uncoded. So, I mean, it could just
Yeah.
be. I think there are some decentralized Twitter features that happen, but all of them, because I don't think they can control what content goes onto it. Like, I don't think that's codable. Like, you can't just like be like, because everything is subjective, right? Like, you can say, I
Right.
wouldn't want this content, but like, what if it's in a sarcastic, commentated way? I don't think it counts as such. So that,
Right. And then
you
it'll
can't
end up,
code that.
yeah, it'll probably
So,
end up leading to like wild censorship. That is true.
yeah, that's what we're trying to avoid. So I think. Eh. Back to our topic of like this whole influencer thing, did you think Paris Hilton kind of used her platform for it, or did you think that she was like a fair
So
balance of what an influencer should be in the crypto space, if there was one?
yes, yes. And the only reason why I say that is because like one, everybody knows Paris Hilton is kind of like just promoting things, right?
Yeah,
So that's what you're getting, especially when it comes to something like this. But also, hers is the only one that looks legitimate
but let's
out of
backtrack.
every other like celebs, influencers, like their own NFT, like whatever. Like compare hers to Snoop, and hers
Hmm.
looks way more like serious and legitimate than Snoop's. Granted, do I think either one of them have like inherent value?
Snoop didn't
Absolutely
do his
not.
own NFT. He has a team behind him that set it up. Snoop probably has no idea
That
what
and
the
his
fuck is
is
happening.
also on crypto.com. So,
Yeah, various issues with that platform.
but
I
Snoop
think,
always getting a check. He's
yeah,
always getting a check.
he and Kiki
So
Palmer have
I'm
like.
not hate. Yeah, I'm not hating on him.
But the thing about Paris Hilton, let's think about Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton already has money. Let's let's start there. So not to say that these
Hmm.
people don't have money, but she doesn't. She's not someone that really benefits from using her brand and thing. Like she is a brand.
Right.
Like I don't work jobs, which I am a job. That's Paris Hilton. She already is a brand
Right.
as a person. So when she probably stepped into the space, she did it the right way. I think she's like working with like she worked with two like crypto artists or whatever, and then like they paired with her likeness and then released an NFT, which is what it should be. That is the formula that I would hope that influencers would use, but we're not seeing
Right.
that. And that's the problem.
Right. And it has like a, I don't know, I like the name of the collection. It's called Past
Mhm.
Lives New Beginning,
And
and it
aesthetically, it was
was
pretty.
yeah, no, aesthetically it was pretty. And it is on the Origin protocol, which it is an ETH token right now at the, well, as of today, not at time of filming, but as of today, the Origin protocol token is at 45 cents. And they have like a pretty cool thing. Granted, like I don't want to personally, I won't do any NFTs on anything Ethereum.
I feel you.
Um,
It's a
but
life choice. It's
so
very difficult.
right. Right. So on their website, it says that like you can sell your NFT for free when you convert a portion of your sales to their governance token, which
Mm,
I think can be cool, like if it's done correctly, right? And like,
yeah,
what are we governing? Obviously the blockchain, but you know, like how much activity does it have on it, how much use, like how many people are actually using it
yeah.
to, for it to make sense to, for you to even want to stake and govern.
But I
um
liked her too because she kept going on shows and she was like trying to explain it. And I think that's very important. Some of these influencers, I'm not gonna explain it to you. You just buy it because it's like I like it today. But like she actually like took the time to go on the show and say, I'm really into cryptocurrency. Like this is what it is. I'm releasing an NFT. And I feel like some of these influencers are like, I don't have to explain it. I'm just gonna sell it. And that's horrible because I
well
think you should
that
be able to explain what the project does.
yeah,
You should be
no,
able
that
to be
should,
a full representation of the project while doing whatever you're doing with the project.
for sure, because like I just would not try to sell anything that I could not like explain what it is. That's kind of ridiculous. But also, and it's like it does make her and her project seem like a lot more legitimate, or that it would have value, because ultimately like they're Paris Hilton NFTs, like
Yeah, it's a
right.
collectible due to her, instead of just promoting something at with
Right.
you know like
But
didn't other people do that with
if
like Ethereum Max or something like that?
so that's what happened with Kim K and Floyd Mayweather.
Hmm.
And I'm just gonna read the Ethereum Max description that is on CoinMarketCap.
Okay.
Just to let the listeners know, if they don't already know what Ethereum Max is. Note that it is not Ethereum. It is like it has nothing to do with like the Ethereum Foundation or anything like that. But their description says, we launched Emacs with a vision to bridge the gap between the emergence of community driven tokens and the well known foundational coins of crypto, creating a unique token that provides lifestyle perks with financial rewards and incentives to its holders, with a pathway for practical long term use in everyday life. And then it goes on to say, this is the essence of the culture token, which what does that even mean?
Hmm.
It continues to say, Emacs launched with a total supply of 2 quadrillion tokens.
It's not even. I'm looking at it on Coin Market Cap. Its value. Oh my god,
I, I don't think I looked at the value earlier today, but total supply 2 quadrillion tokens,
that's
like that's
ridiculous. Like
absurd. And then it's somehow worse than Ethereum not having a max supply.
yeah, no one talks about it enough. Everyone's like, "Oh, Ethereum, we burn it for the transaction." Yeah, but it has no max supply, so it doesn't really matter. It only
Yeah,
matters when it has a max supply. You can burn all you want, but you still keep
yeah,
making it. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I know they're reducing the amount that they make, but again, stop using that as
yeah.
a
But
focal
even
point to explain each issues. It's not.
right, also, but so to continue from the absurdity of 2 quadrillion tokens, then they go on to explain their tokenomics, um, by saying that their circulating supply continues to decrease, as their tokenomics include a 0% tax on buys, a 6% tax on sells and transfers,
Mm-mm.
3% of which remain in treasury, and 3% is burned every week. So you're
See,
only getting rid of 3%,
see
because
that
what is
tax
the
stuff
three
to me is
percent
a
that
red
remain
flag.
in the treasury?
Red flag.
Well, so the tax is like a gas fee, right? Okay, fine, whatever. I can accept that on
But
sells
how,
and transfers. I don't like it, but I can accept it.
but is
But
that
then
saying
when
that
you're
there's no
saying
additional gas fee for their transactions?
uh,
That's never. fully stated
Uh,
when there's a
yeah,
tax,
that
and
is
that's
not.
bullshit to
That
me.
is yes, that for sure. That it is not stated. Yes, that is bullshit. It should totally be stated. There should not be a tax in addition to a gas fee. But again, where what gets me here with this one is 3% of which remains in treasury and 3% is burned every other week.
Why'd
So
you pick every
why
other
are
week?
you keeping 3% in treasury?
And to me, when people say I'm keeping a treasury, you guys need to physically show the treasury at all times. I'm not with the whole,
And
we have
it's
a
like
treasury. Where is it? Let me see it.
and that and like it should be an escrow.
Yeah, the treasury and the treasury's wallet should be posted as well. So we can see
Mm-hmm.
if they're going into the wallet. And I know
Right,
someone's gonna be like, that's
exactly.
a safety thing, but it's like, yeah, for you guys. Because we've seen other projects where they've gone into the treasury and how are we to know? We don't know
Yeah,
because we can't
and
see
they're
it.
just moving it. Right,
Safe
exactly.
move. Yeah, so
So then they continue to say to start off on the right foot and to establish EMAX as a long-term project. I'm just gonna go ahead and pause and say that any language like this in any description of any project is a no. It's an
a red
automatic
flag.
no.
A red
Absolutely not. To
flag.
start off on the right foot, like you're like saying that in your description. Nope, not happening. But to start off on the right foot and to establish Emacs as a long term project, we had no biased pre sale event, as 100% of the tokens were released on the open market. Oh, so you didn't have an ICO, an unregistered and illegal ICO? Wow, how redeeming of you, Ethereum Max.
I
That's
don't,
so
and then also
great.
taking the likeliness of Ethereum to boost your project is a whole red flag too. You can't fucking do that. It's like you can't
Yeah,
do
because
Solana part four. Like you can't just take a cryptocurrency's name, have no connection to it in any way of the dev team or founders, and just make a project.
Exactly. Exactly. But then they go on to say that they locked liquidity to support the project, and founder wallets have been locked and verified as a sign of commitment to deepen trust within the community. Um, if you have to say any of those things, like, I
Just
don't
think I'm not.
trust you. I'm not
Yeah,
going to trust you.
it's
Hedera
like
Hashgraph does not have to have this on their website, right?
yeah,
Or use that as a disclaimer. And then so this is two times now that they're saying Emacs is a long-term project.
yeah. You don't have to say it. It should
That
just be one. No
that
worries.
makes me think
Just
that it's not
make
a
it
long-term
one.
project.
Don't state it.
With a bold vision, strategic roadmap, and united community, if you are paying Kim Kardashian and Floyd Mayweather to promote this, I don't think there is a community at all, much
I
less a
mean,
united one. To
well,
accomplish lofty goals few have ever imagined. Oh, yeah,
what
super lofty.
goals? Where are the
Yeah,
goals?
and let alone conquered. And we plan on just doing that. Um, let's go back to the fact that it is supposed to be a culture token and that is its utility.
You can't just have vibes as a function. It doesn't work like that. Just vibes. What do you offer? Vibes. Like the US government, what is our dollar's value? The faith in the government. Okay, vibes. Just vibes.
But
Okay.
that's literally what they
Just
did. Oh my goodness, that's great. So like since they shilled it, it's lost like 97% of its value. I don't know what the today price of it is.
it was
Um
like below a cent. It was like really bad. It was like one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, tenth of a cent, tenth below a cent,
I think that's
six
worse
nine
than
nine.
Miami coin. I think that's worse than Miami coin,
Oh,
which we're
I
gonna get to later. Because that is also kind of ridiculous. But
yeah,
yeah,
it's
dude.
just I think but also let's not blame the influencers because what if they think it's like, what if they think it's a check like another check? Like that, what? Let's just suggest for 5 seconds they're ignorant too. But that's a problem though because these
You
companies
have
shouldn't be
enough
able to.
money to have lawyers to not be ignorant.
Yeah, but a check is we don't know how much money they're being offered. If someone offered you $300,000, I'm not like that, but like I'm pretty sure they're just like,
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
easiest money I've ever made. And just have to like talk about a coin. Okay, cool. And they know that the people offering them the money know that as well. So I'm not saying they're absolved from guilt, but I think in some context they may not know the depth. of their involvement in this.
Yeah, I mean, current like well, I don't know how current it is, but they are being sued over the allegations,
Mm.
saying the word allegations, for legal purposes, that they misled investors when they were promoting ETH Max to their social media followers. And guess who else is in on this scam? Buddy that we talked about earlier today, Logan Paul.
So
Him
he's a
and
repeat
like
offender. He's the problem.
uh,
Like if you're a repeat offender,
he
like you go
he
into the
needs to
scam
go
box.
under the
Yeah.
jail. He needs to go. He needs to be in
So
blockchains.
an
Like,
unknowing celebrity being offered something, okay, pass, right? Like you didn't know, you're not very aware, normal. Your assistant probably approved it. You took the check, whatever. But he is a repeat
hmm
offender. This is his job now. Like he is now a crypto like influencer,
scammer.
connoisseur, scammer. Like this is now who he is as a person. Like we just accept it.
Yeah, no, but so apparently, him and Floyd Mayweather, they endorsed the token in their boxing match, and it was
Oh, that's
accepted
bad.
as payment. It was accepted as payment for the tickets to the event,
For Ethereum Max?
according to the lawsuit. Yes.
Oh, they're fucked. You can't do that. Yeah. You can't
Yeah.
assign it like that. That's a no, because now you're tying it to a sale at an event and then devaluing it afterwards. So it's like now you were doing it for a set place and time, you accrued the value and then allowed it to
Yeah,
plunge
I
into the
know. They
depths of
probably and they probably
doom.
cashed out after the event as well. I mean, I don't know, right? Allegedly.
Well, I mean, I'm
But
pretty sure they made like money in 12 ways off the event, like the pay per view, the ETH Max tickets, whatever NFT they had surrounding it, like got
hmm
paid 4 ways. So, I mean, but that's just that in itself's not right because now you're attaching the hype of an event to the purchase of a cryptocurrency. And
and
that's a
also
little,
making it seem like it's a serious thing. Like aside from
yeah. Because if
like
I saw that
scamming
they were
off of
accepting it, I'd be like,
Ethereum's
oh, okay.
name. Yeah,
Yeah. I'd be like,
yeah, no,
oh, it's
oh
legitimate.
my goodness, they're accepting this as payment. Yeah, like they're not accepting Bitcoin as payment, but they're accepting this as payment. Yeah, for
Red
sure, I'm
flag
gonna
number
trust it.
26. Red flag number 26. We can't pay in Bitcoin here, but we can pay in the newly created Ethereum Max. Wow, that's clever. It's
That has
really
nothing to do
clever.
with Ethereum.
That has nothing to do. The founder is like, what the fuck is this? Like, no.
That's like kind of like my same fear with Flare Finance and the Flare networks. Flare Finance has nothing to do with Flare networks at all. And
Ooh.
yeah, yeah,
When
I don't
lawyers
know.
get into the crypto space, they are going to have a field fucking day. Like the lawsuits, I'm telling you, if you're a lawyer, please, I make one thing clear in this podcast. Go study like infringements, like licensing, IPO, like do all that because you'll be a millionaire because there's so many issues with people thinking I'm just gonna make a coin that's similar to a name and then I'm just gonna profit from it and just do that. Like you literally
Yeah,
can't
no,
do that for
no,
licensing reasons.
and that's why like I'm really thankful for attorneys that are in the space, like
Oh,
Jeremy
God bless
Hogan
them.
and his wife Tin Vu, and
Hmm.
then also John Deaton. So John Deaton is like an asbestos lawyer.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
he is an asbestos lawyer, and he's like the mesothelioma guy, from those
What?
commercials that you
Yeah,
see at
yeah,
like
yeah,
3 in the morning. Yeah, so
yeah.
he represents those clients, and he is now the guy that is like essentially like doing a class action on behalf of what I don't know if it's a class action per se, but essentially like he's the guy that's like representing all of the XRP holders
Oh, God bless
in
him.
the lawsuit like as a friend of the court.
That's good.
Yeah. So him and then Jeremy Hogan, I think they do like family law or
Oh, how sweet.
like
That's a good
something
pivot for
something
them.
right, something
It's a
totally
really good
not
pivot for
related to
them.
crypto, right? And yeah, and I'm really happy to see attorneys like them that this just isn't their field, like completely like seeing that, what, this isn't right. We need answers. There's no regulation, there's no clarity. Like,
Yeah,
let's get into
and
this
that's the
space and like
problem.
learn and find things out.
And because there's no regularity, these people feel like I can get away with it, and they can't get away with it. By the time anyone's
Yeah.
figured out that it's a scam, they've already moved the money into a wallet no one can find. So it's like by the time the court lawsuit even begins, they've already done X, Y, and Z with the money they've received. So it's just
and
like,
made off with it, and made off with it, and like, and
and they've
that's the
already
thing.
consulted
If
their lawyer, and gotten out of it. And that's the problem. It's like there's no repercussions for them because there's no law. There's not a set, like, if you do this, we will sue you immediately. There's just like, oh, I
right,
gotta find someone to represent me, and I have to gather the holders, and they have to get upset and come. It's a process suing someone for doing
yeah,
stuff.
and
Suing
usually
this.
these things have to happen in a class action because let's be real, like people that are getting scammed and like these like NFT scams, influencer scams, and rug pulls,
Mhm.
they probably don't have the disposable income to like go out and hire an attorney
No, they
to,
just got scammed. They just lost whatever the money
yeah,
they put into a
to
project.
recoup
So
whatever money that they
yeah,
lost. And yeah, no, that just doesn't help the space out at all. And then again, we have more and more influencers
can
that
we talk about
people
one
are,
that we both are not too fond of?
and
Um,
that's exactly who I was segueing into, my friends.
Mr. Gary V, Mr.
Vaynerchuk.
Oh, how do I begin with this one? So I
Um,
think his segue into crypto has been, first of all, let's start with the fact that he has a cult following. So that's
literally
a
a
cult
cult.
following. You have
It
your
is a
own buyers that want to participate and be in any space at any capacity, whether or not it's an audited project. We don't even know if these projects have been audited for. So he has an army of people willing to pay hand and foot for his projects, and he's another person I wish just never be involved in crypto. Um,
for anything for that matter because he's a grifter.
so his NFT collection, it's called V Friends. You've seen it, right? It literally
Um,
looks like a 4-year-old drew it with their eyes closed. Like it's just
is
odd.
is the V friends? That's different. That's different than his restaurant thing.
Oh God, he has a restaurant. He serves people food. That's horrible too.
So, oh no, you're gonna. We could do Be Friends first, and then when I tell you about his restaurant thing, like I can't wait to see the expression on your face because
So,
it's just so absurd and ridiculous. Like, no.
okay, so I'll read to you what is V Friends. V Friends is the name of Gary V. Chucknick NFT collection. He created V Friends to bring his life ambitions of building a community around his creative and business passions using NFT technology and their smart contract capabilities. It's vague and unnecessary. By owning
Mm-hmm.
VFriends NFT, you immediately become a part of the VFriends community and access to VCon. So by describing that, you still don't know what it does. And their smart contract capabilities. All NFTs have smart contracts attached to them. That's how they are NFTs. Like I why would you say that like that to people who read books? Um, and then why NFTs, much like 1995 and 2005, when Gary saw the macro trend with internet and Web 2.0, he knew that the only way he was going to understand NFTs was actually to be a part of it experiment. So Gary believes that NFTs will be here for the rest of his life. How old are you, Gary V? We don't know. And then Gary intends to be consulting, investing, advising, and speaking about NFTs. So he needed to have his own project to test, learn, and understand everything about it. At the end of the day, Gary is a practitioner and an operator. He would never speak about NFTs unless he was entrenched on how they work, involved firsthand. So, would you want someone
None of
to
those things tell you
talk?
anything about the project. It's
They
just
don't.
it's
It doesn't talk about
words. It's
tech.
fluff.
It doesn't talk about development. It doesn't talk about like having interest in the developing part of the NFT. It's literally like weird. It's just him claiming it to be an experiment. And then I
What
guess
blockchain it runs on, what protocol it's running on. Like I
like
got more from Paris Hilton than I did from like cult
and
leader
people would be like, what?
Gary V.
Exactly. And that's the point that we're trying to say. This man knows nothing about NFTs. And he's like blatantly admitting it and saying that this is an experiment and he's not really quite sure how it's gonna go, but you should just buy it. And then VCon was if you bought two of his NFTs, you were supposed. So that's another way how he got everyone. The NFT was priced at $900, but if you brought two of them, you were exactly. So, and that's something that someone needs to talk about when you talk about the floor price of an NFT. It's the mint, and then how you get people to keep the NFT. If you say if you hold it, you're gonna go to this convention called VCon, then what are people gonna do? They're gonna
Mm-hmm.
hold it. They're gonna buy two and they're gonna
Right.
hold them until the convention because they want to see you. They want to see you in person. So,
Yeah, to say the exact same things that he says like on his YouTube channel for the past however long he's been doing YouTube, right?
And then all VFriend token owners get access to VCon. VCon is a multi-day event exclusively for NFT holders. Your NFT will give you a 3-year access pass. This conference will be focused around business, marketing ideas, creativity, entrepreneurship, innovation, competition, of course, fun.
So does
Gary's folk.
VCon happen every year
He said, I don't, yeah, I guess it
for
says for
them to
20.
have a 3-year access pass?
Yeah, but then again, that's like, well, I have to hold my NFT for 3 years if I want to go, right? So I can't sell it
Mm.
within 3 years. This is a smart swindler, he is. Gary's focus is to curate the best experience for his community, bring enormous access and informational value to all VFriends token holders and attendants. If you own two VFriends tokens, this means that you have 2 tickets to VCon. All dates and locations will be announced at least 180 days in advance for VCon. Yeah, so
So it is on a
um,
for sure thing that VCon has um, been like set up and set out for 3 years to happen.
I
Like they
mean,
don't have
this.
like agreements with venues or anything like that.
So
For
my
3 years.
issue, yeah, my issue with this is he basically utilizes fan base. He utilized because again, what does he do? He goes on these tours. He talks. So it's like you
Hmm.
already have people that want to see you. So you create an NFT project. You offer a pass. It's an easy sell, and I get it, but that doesn't mean it's right because, and especially when you have people buying such expensive NFTs, like they're more liable to loss. So it's like you're utilizing your fan base in such a negative way.
Especially
And
when a lot of people like look to him. Like I have a friend um that like he was just down in the dumps, down on his luck, and like he started listening to Gary Vee um to like work through his problems and stuff. And that's the type of people that like listen to
yeah,
him and that become part of his cult, and they're so
hmm
vulnerable.
yeah.
um well, they are so much more vulnerable to like his scams and his shenanigans and just his grift because of that, right? Because they're like, oh wow, this guy has all the answers and he sounds like he's making sense. And he's just like another grifter.
It's the Donald Trump effect. It's like when people said they voted for him, they were like, he's going to be a great economical resource and he's going to financially improve America. When,
Because he's a great businessman and
he's not a great
creator
businessman.
and
He has a
like
lot. He just had more money to build businesses that failed. You don't hear that a multitude of his businesses are bankrupt. But
mm-hmm,
unfortunately, because when we look at people, we looked at their general achievements, not like how is this business performing today. That should be a
right,
good question that people ask. So it's the
mm-hmm,
same with Gary Vee. They're like, oh, he's a businessman. He came from nothing, which is a story that we could break down at a later time, which is not true. His
uh,
parents own a liquor store worth $4 million. Someone that comes from
right,
nothing doesn't come with a family business worth $4 million. They come from nothing. So
yeah,
I think that's
exactly,
another issue is how he explains himself and who he speaks to himself about and how he makes it seem as if he came from nothing to speak to other people that are currently struggling in situations like that when that is not the case. So his whole
mm-hmm,
fan base, his relationship with his fan base is also a lie on top of that.
yeah.
So I wouldn't trust that he's forfeiting personally.
No, and then they go and spend almost $2,000 on two NFTs that they're gonna have to hold for 3 years to get the full value of the NFT, right? The full utility of it, what he's advertising it as, just to like see him and just entrench themselves more in the cult. And
And be
that's like
and because of that price value,
sad.
no one's gonna look into it. They're gonna be like, it's successful, it's worth. Because I looked at
Well, and
one
that's
today.
how and that's how it's gonna be able to maintain the price for 3 years as well,
Like
because
one of them
people
is
still
worth
want to get rid of
17
it.
grand. It's a picture of a panda. A panda. It's worth 17 grand. And I'm just like, I know he drew this with like one hand while one eye closed. Like there was no artistic effort being done in this process. And
I'm gonna have to see that. I'm gonna have to see that. First off,
I
pandas
mean,
are real.
that's what I
They're
said.
approved by the CIA.
Oh my God. I literally have been telling everyone, go make an NFT project. Like, just start drawing something and putting it on the internet, dear Lord. Because if this man can go parade himself and say it, like, I
Yeah,
am
like
an NFT assessor, like, I know what's up. Like,
yeah, young boy broke never again.
but I just want to talk about one more thing he did. Okay, so this is really weird. You guys can like go research this later, but he did an NFT collab with an 8-year-old. The thing about it was you're supposed to get an NFT with Natsu's face and JPEG images with letters. And it was hosted on Bitsky, and then the holders of six letters were told to be they'll be able to get an additional one. Then they changed the condition and said that anyone who had originally minted all six would get an airdrop. He promoted it and then said it was redeemable for a meet and greet with an 8 year old. And then he went on to Twitter and said, any other child under 13 that has an NFT collection, let me know. I would love to collab. So, and I was just like, that's scary. Like, that's what he did before Be Friends. Because he is someone who knows how to identify an audience and monetize them. And
Yeah.
that's his whole MO. And I hate that. Like, that is not what NFTs were for.
Yeah, I mean, also it's kind of weird because it's like kids. Like, I don't know. I'm always like very like it's always very fishy to me when people do things like with kids and then it's also like a scam on top of it. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
really weird. Um,
And then
not
they're,
so. Wait,
were
no,
we,
continue, continue.
oh, sorry. No, it's like their likeness is all over the internet now. Like, that child could never get, you know what I mean? Like, it always will
Yeah.
be there. Like, I don't, she's 8. She probably didn't consent to that. She's like, whatever. You know
No.
what
Yeah, and her
MT
like
is.
and her like I'm sure her parents did or like whoever represented her, but also it's like, how educated are they on this topic? Like they probably thought that it was like a good branding deal for whatever reason. But yeah, no, dude, it's weird. What I was gonna say, after like, well, either before or after this, his restaurant thing.
What is this restaurant? Oh my God.
So it's called Fish Club.
Uh-huh.
Fish Club.
That sounds like a horrible name to begin with before you even begin the deep. But
And
go ahead.
so it's a private dining experience in New York City. Like, first off, dining in New York City is already like
Private.
ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to show your passport to be able to dine inside or outside of New York City. So now you're going to like triple down on that and like with your weird NFTs. Okay, fine. So the NFTs, they grant access to a restaurant. The lowest, so there's two tiers, right? One is 2.5 ETH, and then the other one is like 4 point something or whatever, like almost 5 Ethereum. And the food and drink are not included in this fine dining experience.
Oh
This
my
is
God.
just to get in.
Oh
This
my
is
God.
just to get in.
Is it the crack that he's smoking before he created this project that led him to this theory and concept? Because I'm upset.
Uh,
Oh my God. I can't even
like
get a
the
drink while I'm being
audacity,
robbed?
the audacity,
He's
right? And
nuts.
like supposedly like it renews every year or whatever. But yeah, dude, that's wild. And like if you have 2.5 ETH or 4.8 ETH to spend on entrance into a private dining experience in New York City, and then you also have the funds to pay for food and drink additionally. I don't feel bad for you. I don't care. I think like you deserve to be scammed by Gary Vee. Like these
I
are like the
mean,
only people that I just don't care
but
that
it's
they
so
are like
if you
falling
lowered the
into
cost of
the
this,
crypto influencer scam. Yeah,
if
if you lower the cost of this, I'd be
this would
way
be
more mad
cute.
because there would
This would
be,
be cute.
well,
Yeah.
yes, but it's like also dog like I gotta pay for the, and then no food, no drinks, like no appetizers,
He
nothing,
has really good
like no
delivery.
bread.
He has good delivery, like in terms of concept, but he has no plan to actually physically attend to it. Like his parent, it's like someone who writes an outline. The outline's really good, but like everything inside of it's shit.
Yeah,
That's Gary Vee.
yeah,
He's
like
really a
the
good
format and
outline
the
man.
structure, but yeah,
The,
there's no
there's no
substance to
substance
it.
within it, and it's just a bag of shit that you're selling to people. Like I would love this for a company that like maybe isn't doing well, maybe sell passes to subsidize the slow season so that they have enough money from the sale to like really focus on their restaurant. That way they're unaffected and they can just produce great food. That's cool for a small
Right.
business, not for Gary Vee because we don't know how he's going to execute this. If he'll ever actually execute it. When did he do this? Was it during COVID? Because if it was during COVID, he'd be shit.
Um,
Because he could have.
no, I think. Well, let's Google it. So here, Fly Fish Club. Oh, the website, if anybody listening wants to, actually check it out, it's fly, FLY, fish, FISH, club, CLUB.com. And it doesn't look incredibly sophisticated.
And then I'm
It
also looking at
really,
it. There's no development team. There's no mention of a development team on the bottom half. It's only people, founder, chief executive officer of hospitality, which is great. You guys know how to make food, but what do you know about maintaining an NFT project with real life use case in a real world setting? You probably know nothing. And that's a problem
that's
for me.
amazing. Apparently, they also have an Instagram. I'm gonna have to check that out later. But oh my goodness, so I'm looking at the website and like there's
2021.
there's a top part. There's Gary V's face,
Yeah.
and then there's a picture of the most hideous looking dead fish assortment ever. Like,
The Instagram looks awful as well. I
who is
mean,
that aesthetically pleasing to? And again, like I would look at something like this and be like, no, this isn't legitimate. This isn't like super serious.
but again, it's the
No.
magnitude of power he holds from his other ventures that people would apply in a space that he
Mhm.
may or may not be knowledgeable in, and that's the problem. These people can walk into a new space and apply the same level of interest that their fan base has into these projects that may not been have done properly, or may not even be executed fully. And after that sale, they don't even have to do anything really. That's the problem that people are not getting. When you purchase an NFT, that's your NFT, right? But some projects are like banks, and they're like, I did my job because their job is to create a project and sell it. And they did.
Mhm.
Whether or not they'll maintain whatever they promise to do is up on the integrity of the project. And when you look at someone who doesn't have integrity, you have to be very skeptical about that.
Or someone that's just jumping into every project because it's like you're just doing too
Anything,
much. You're just doing too much.
everything.
Right. Like you have no
Like, what are you even about? Like, I don't even get him. Like,
like no
what?
standards, right?
Like,
Exactly. Like
you
you're
like
literally
pictures of
doing
animals and then a food club. Like, what's going on? Like, I don't see consistency in your work. There's no consistency.
No, I mean, and throughout anything that he does. And I think that's also something that, if you're looking to someone that may or may not be influencing you or attempting to influence you to make any kinds of investments, right? Like these are things that like you should look at in their character and try to identify before investing your money because, ultimately like why are you going these people don't care about you. They don't
No,
care about
we
you
don't care because
and they
truly,
have more than enough money to not care about you as well.
so to me, so before this other side land sale, it to me, before scratching, we're not gonna talk about that because that was a shit show. We're not. But to me, like people who care about their projects, what do? They reduce gas fees because they understand that you're spending an exorbitant amount of money to participate in this project. Why do I want to
Hmm.
charge you more than that? So, which can
Right.
be put in a smart contract. So when Gary actually did his mint, for VFriends, I think it was they made like 8 million in the beginning, but it cost $26 million in gas fees. Someone who cares exactly. Someone How does the gas fees oversee the project price? And then again, everyone was like, why isn't Gary Vee doing a mint? He didn't do a mint. He didn't do a pre-mint. He didn't do a whitelist. He didn't do a pre-mint. He just is like, everyone can buy it at the same time. Everyone cannot buy it at the same time. Like, I just need everyone to know, if you're launching an Ethereum based NFT project, you cannot mint at the same time. It's not going to happen. And if it does
Well,
happen, it's going to be very expensive.
Ethereum can't handle that.
It can't. It wasn't designed to. It was not designed to
Yeah.
handle all that at
Well,
once, at the
it's
same
also
time.
like not scaled out. Like
Like,
that's
don't
why
do
with Web
that.
2.0. Yeah.
But that person clearly is not like intelligent and did not have that knowledge, and also probably doesn't care. He's like, whatever, I'm gonna make a project and mint it. Like,
Hmm.
and that to me, red flag number 27.5. It's like making a project and not caring about like how the users get it or how that process is. Because it shouldn't be difficult to purchase an NFT. It shouldn't be expensive to purchase one aside from the cost of the
Correct.
NFT
Yeah, it shouldn't cost more in gas fees to purchase the NFT than it does
than the
the
project.
cost of the NFT. Yeah, right. No, absolutely not.
No,
That's
that's disgusting. Why? Absolutely
yeah,
why?
because that's automatically like I would just I don't
Especially with the
know.
burning mechanism, like they're burning a portion of it too. So it's just like you're just
I
throwing money in the trash at that point.
I would just try to write that off as like a capital loss, like if you can. I'm not a tax
I
expert,
mean,
legal
there were certain
advice, but
situations where they were refunding them, but you shouldn't have to go back and refund for gas fees. That's something you should be coding out, and that what that means is you probably didn't even hire a really decent development team because you don't
Yeah,
care.
but also I feel like that kind of like defeats the whole purpose of crypto because you're not supposed to have to do these things. Like
What?
a big purpose of why crypto was created is so that we can do things trustlessly.
Hmm.
And in this whole, especially in the NFT space, and in the scammer coin like influencer space, like
Hmm.
we're not able to do things trustlessly, and that is
Yeah.
sad.
I mean, and I don't think that's cryptocurrency itself being the problem. I really think it's who's coming into this space and who is capitalizing, and then why aren't we questioning their role in this space?
Right, because it's like crypto should be for everyone, and I don't want to be the person that like is like trying to gatekeep, right? Because also who am I? But at the same
Oh, I
time, like
will because it's
there
not for
has to
people who
be
are
like
exorbitantly
a
rich.
fence. There has to be a fence.
It's
There has
not
to
for people
be.
who are already wealthy. I am so sorry. I don't care if you have 100 million and you went and bought like 10
Yeah,
billion
you don't
tokens.
need
Okay,
more.
great, whatever. Like, but it's not for you. It's for that kid in Singapore that like wants to protect his current currency and like doesn't really have maybe a bank account, but like bought crypto and he was able to hold that and then starts researching the technology. Then like buys his first NFT. Like that's what crypto's for. It's not
Right,
for
or they're
that.
doing like a play to earn, and that's how they,
Yeah.
make their
Like
money. Yeah, no, I can agree with that. I can agree with that, and like my radical views and mindset. Yeah, if you're rich, you probably shouldn't like be doing
I mean you
this.
can, but it's like you already have money. What's the point? Like I don't get
Yeah,
it. Like what do you want more? Billions? I don't when does it stop?
it
Never.
doesn't.
It
It doesn't.
doesn't.
It doesn't until they're stopped, or until we become one of them, and then we're like, oh no, don't stop,
No. I
don't
mean
stop.
like okay, so it's like what board yeah, if I ever like did a project, I would want to do that. Like I would like take the earnings from the coin and then develop a token and then give it back to the holders. And then, obviously keep a portion to keep working on the project. But like my
Mm-hmm.
goal wouldn't be to take from the project. I don't think a lot of
Right.
people's goals are to take from their projects because development and all this stuff is expensive. Like dev teams and like creating this technology and like working with it, that it's expensive. So it's like if you're not investing back into yourself, like that's why I see projects are asking for funding. They're like raising new funding all the time because this stuff
And
costs.
why they're reaching out to VC, which is also like,
I mean, we hate it.
yeah,
But I mean, and that's a whole nother podcast episode with how far that goes and how that creates distrust in the crypto community. Because, now we have VCs owning majority of the tokens issued,
yeah,
and
and
that's
VCs
not
don't,
cute.
yeah, they don't exist to always do what's best. They exist
Oh
to do what's
no.
profitable, and like
BlackRock.
for yeah, exactly, and short term profits, right? And sometimes short term profits are not more important than the long term effects of whatever you're doing to get those
And
short term
honestly, we
profits,
should
and
be
you end up
afraid because
shooting yourself in the foot later.
dumping any time, we have no control over it. They could dump for whatever reason or whatever arrangement they've made, and that affects
Mm-hmm.
price. They could move a market in an instant.
Yep,
That's why we should all
absolutely.
reject VCs as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, no, I mean, just ideologically, I don't like VCs, period. But yeah, for sure. In this space, especially, I
It's
do think
scary.
that it can be like really detrimental, to a project, and again, to whoever is investing in that project. Um, of course, people should do their own research. They should do their due diligence. But realistically, a lot of people are not doing it, and I think that's why we wanted to make this our first episode, right, and our first discussion, because a lot of people that are getting into the crypto space, especially within the last 2 years, are doing it because of influencers and because of shady people, and because there's like larger financial interests behind these projects that are like not benevolent, right?
Hmm.
And I think ultimately like the goal of this conversation, right, is to decide like or not even decide, right, because we're not deciding authorities,
No.
but to like discuss like who should be held responsible for these rug pulls and for these scams, because people are going to say, oh well, it's like the individual's fault and personal responsibility and blah 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 blah. Yeah, sure, to an extent. right?
Um, I,
And I would like note that the Securities Act does quote unquote cover sales pitches to particular people, not communications to the public at large. But when you're posting this on your Twitter, you're posting this on your Instagram, or you're going on TV even and doing a late night talk show and like talking about these things, it's like, that's a communication to the public at large. That's not a sales pitch to particular people.
and to me, from from falling into in love with crypto like since 2019, I don't remember seeing any form of an influencer. Like I never bought a project because an influencer told me to. So I just find it very odd that these situations are popping up and happening because it's very alarming. Because I remember most communities being so afraid that something was going wrong or like something would crash or like the dev team wasn't working out, they're replacing people. Like, a lot of projects really want to get to a solid core foundation before they even start talking about it, which could be years. So when all of these influencers pop up and they're like bragging on it, but can't tell me any function, any benefit, how will this be used? It's always a red flag for me because that's not how I fell into crypto. It wasn't an influencer base. It was like technical research. What is the foundation doing? What is this DAO doing? How is this
Yes, just
blockchain being utilized?
purely fundamentals.
And that's how I made my purchases and my portfolio built upon. It wasn't ever upon an influencer talk. So I find all of this to be highly manipulative.
And I can't even say like so. What really got me into crypto were like crypto YouTubers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which now I've been in the space long enough, and they have also been in the space long enough that like at this point they have become influencers in the crypto community. But there is a big difference between people like and I don't love him, and I think he's like wrong on things that like he just should not be wrong about. But Bitboy, there's a big difference between someone like him talking about like what is in his investment portfolio than a Jake Paul, than a Gary Vee, than a Floyd Mayweather, than a Paris Hilton,
But
right?
that's a more of a technical thing within itself. They're explaining to you like how long. See, they're even doing that. They'll say how long I've had it, what I do with it, what platforms I've used with it. They're explaining to you how you use it. In any of these like influencer situations, none of them are saying that I own this token in my portfolio currently or like I've utilized it in any function. And that should be another red flag. They're not
Or even
acknowledging
if they do say
ownership.
it, even if they do say it, I still don't think that that is enough to make it trustworthy, because like
Yeah.
you can totally be holding it and like
And drop it
you
2 days
meet your
later.
you
Yeah.
right, exactly, because you met your metrics of whatever you were expected to, of people or dollar sign, like dollar amount investing into the project, right? Because you influenced X amount of people. Now you're like, okay, well, I'm out where I'm supposed to be and I know I want to cash out now.
But I
Out.
heard there are YouTubers that have felt like they are approaching YouTubers now. Like I know that's a thing. Like, but again,
Yes.
like again, you just have to know the content you're watching. Like if
Mm-hmm.
someone goes on their YouTube channel for 3 minutes, you're like, I love this content, blah blah blah, but doesn't tell you anything. That's a red flag. So it's like you should know what you're watching on fundamentals, price action, function. Like they're giving you the whole bits and pieces instead of just like doing the aesthetics and the entertainment value for a coin. I would trust their opinion. I would not trust the opinion of a YouTuber that cannot explain something on a technical level. That's just how you
Right.
should
And
look at it.
actually, like, just doing research, like pure news, fundamental research about the company, about the project, about what's happening in the space, about how certain things are affecting it. From like a technical perspective, let's be real, like the crypto market is pretty manipulated,
Mm-hmm.
and it's wildly volatile. So yes, technical analysis is beneficial, but I would ride more, especially for like my long-term holds, long-term investments, way more on a strong
Tokenomics.
fundamental analysis of the project that I'm investing in.
And then also just to think about this too, a crypto project or like coin or DApp, well, a coin or blockchain probably wouldn't reach out to people, right? Like it's kind of unusual. But what we see is a
Right.
lot of the exchanges in the brokerage, like them reaching out. So that's a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Those that happening. And then new projects will be more than likely to reach out to influencers. But actual like blockchains and tokens of like known, they don't do that. I
Like
really don't.
real
I haven't.
legitimate projects, yeah, no, they really don't.
No,
Like for example, i've
because I think
i've
they know you're
seen
not supposed
like
to be doing that. They know it.
What they will do is, for legitimate companies and like legitimate, well, obviously not all, but they're more than likely legitimate if there's a representative from the company, the
Yeah,
CEO, the
for sure.
developer team, that they're going on podcasts, and they, they have their blue check mark and they're tweeting about the amazing, wonderful things that the project is doing. That
Yeah,
is a bigger sign of legitimacy than, paying some famous person that, like, is also going to shoot their McDonald's ad like in a few hours
yeah,
after they
for
tell you
sure.
how wonderful this whatever scammy coin project is. Also, like, let's be real, if it, like, the words and names of projects should also be telling, right? Because if something is called Safe Moon, it is probably not safe, and it is more than likely not going to the moon, right?
Yeah,
Um, animals and food, animals and food. No,
yeah,
it's not.
yeah.
It's not serious.
Oh, and reading the white paper, because that's important. Because if you don't have one, red flag number 28, you need to have a
Yeah.
white paper, buddies. You can't just develop that
Yes.
later. Because it's like, what was, when you developed your cryptocurrency, what were the metrics behind it? You had none. Great. Get away from me. Because they just
Right.
made something and they applied their engagements and their influencers to create its value. It's not a token based value, it's a, influencer based value. And that's horrible.
Right. Which is like none, because really, like, who
The
are
moment they step away from the
influencers?
project, it tanks. So
Yeah, that too. And also, like, so I think what happened with Safe Moon is that they essentially like copy and pasted the code of, I think,
yep,
like,
I think it
Bitcoin or
was
something
no, I
Bitcoin
think it was
adjacent.
BSC Smart Chain, and that's already. I think I learned the other day. I think that their code is copied from Atom. Yeah, yeah,
That's the
that's
issue with like open source codes, right?
it is if we don't have intention with copying. Like we copy the code because we have a specific intention to do with that code, if that makes any sense. Like I'm
Yes.
using this specific code because my coin or blockchain has intentions to do this and that. And not because, oh, I just copied the first code that I saw other people do scam coins on. Because there's a lot of scam coins on BSN. That's why a lot of people are like weird about
Mm-hmm.
using it. But a third of them, like Elongate, I think was one like Safe Moon. Like a lot of them were on that smart chain for various reasons. I don't touch it that much. I don't like interfere with it. It is fun to use, but like I don't really care for it.
Right.
But yeah, and that should be red flag number 78.5 because it's like if someone can copy paste chain, they haven't checked for bugs. They haven't, you know what I mean? They haven't really altered it for use. What they're
Mm-hmm.
saying they're doing with it is probably untrue. You know, it's just let's just say this: anyone can copy and paste a code and make a coin. Anyone can do it.
Right.
I could
Right.
do it if I was bored one day. I
Yeah.
would never do that, but like anyone can do it. So you shouldn't trust
Mm-hmm.
people that do that and then try to put this whole campaign behind their coin. Like they just made that up yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, how much time is behind this? You
How
know?
much time development before the coin is launched? Because that's another thing no one talks about. I would trust it if you said we spent like 4 years in Antarctica in pre-development with like locked in a lab with computers, coding our life away. I respect that. Not,
Yeah.
oh, I'm just appointed as a CEO 4 months ago and we launched our coin and we do charity
Like,
work sometimes. We love people.
charity and crypto is like the biggest scam to me.
Yes, because legally to do that, you are okay. So the government is cool in that way. They will let you set up a nonprofit and own crypto, right? Like and receive
Mm-hmm.
crypto donations. That's actually something you can do as a nonprofit if you set it up like that to be a Web3 nonprofit. But that is your only function. You cannot be for profit and nonprofit at the
Right.
same time. You're not even allowed
Right.
to do that having a nonprofit in America. So why would you be able to do that in an
Right.
unregulated situation as we are today? That's like a double red flag. So if any project says that we're going to do this with the money. Why are you doing that with the money? You were supposed to put the money in a vault for 4 years. No one asked you to
Right.
do that. You're not even allowed to do that. So when the people start saying stuff like that, like we're going to help Africa, that's number one red flag because God, everyone wants to help Africa, but doesn't. So please stop doing that.
Like, unless
So
you're going to Africa directly, like, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in
and
helping
I think that's even
helping
worse to say
Africa.
that you're going to help Africa and you don't. God,
Yeah.
golly gee,
Yeah.
what type of person are you? Um, yeah, I'm not even. I could talk about Safe Moon all day. I'm not even gonna sit here because they're really special place in hell for them. But
Well, yeah, and then I mean, so like celebrities and influencers are bad enough, but then when we also have like influencer politicians, like our wonderful mayor, ceremonial mayor of the city of Miami that we
oh,
have
tell me
down
about
the
it. I
road,
don't. I thought that
Mr.
was a
Mayor
cool
Francis
concept. I did not
Suarez.
know how it was being
So
handled.
I think it could be. I think it could definitely be a cool concept. Just you know, like first off, Miami is Miami, and
Oh,
scammers just scammers everywhere. It's scammer capital.
girl.
Like it's like Miami and
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta, scammer capital.
Mm-hmm.
One, two, I will invite everyone to watch the CoinDesk interview
Mm-hmm.
with like their team and Mayor Suarez because wow, that was just
Mm-hmm.
like I watched the interview earlier today when I was preparing for this and like taking my notes and everything, and just like I was
Mm-hmm.
embarrassed for him. I was really embarrassed for him. I was embarrassed for the city of Miami because wow, and everything like you could tell the just lack of confidence in all of the interviewers' voices when they were questioning him and just the types of questions that they were asking him. And I totally don't blame them because it's just like kind of ridiculous. Like first you have like a typical like stereotypical crypto bro.
Mm-hmm.
So one, I don't want to hear anything you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
Secondly, he's like a Bitcoin mining like proof of work maximalist, and also I don't want to hear anything you have to say. Like you have nothing to tell me that can like educate me or enlighten me, and just like no, right? And people like believed it like, and I definitely think there's way more people from outside of Miami than the people in Miami, because like people in Miami know how like corrupt he is, his family is, his father is, like there's history here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have people that are living in like New York or LA or like wherever in the country, and they're into crypto, and they're also like kind of crypto bros, and they're just like
Leaving the masses with stupidity.
so impressed. And he's young too, so, and like also like kind of like conventionally attractive, so that doesn't help the situation. But in I think
You're talking about the
he
mayor, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes. I think he like appeals to the people that would not probably conventionally fall for like a crypto influencer type thing,
Oh, that's bad.
right?
That's bad.
Because it's coming from a politician, it's coming from a lawmaker, it's coming from someone that is like actually has like some sort of prestige and like trust from the community. It's an elected official. And I think that it's significantly more dangerous to have someone that just has absolutely no idea what the hell they're talking about in
Yeah.
that position
Yeah.
influencing people than, I think that's somehow more egregious. But so like I'm just going to explain what Miami Coin is, or like what it was supposed to be. So it's a city-based token built on the City Coin protocol. Um, it's like a variation of
I think
Bitcoin.
I messaged you about
It's
this and
like
I was excited.
stacked on Bitcoin. Yes,
Uh-huh. And you were like,
yes, you
no.
did. You
I was
did
like,
DM me about that because of
it
the
sounded good.
APY. It's like some
Yeah.
ridiculous 430% APY
And I
is
heard
what
they're
it
gonna expand
claims
to
to
different
offer.
cities. Yeah. I hope they
It's
don't. They need to keep it.
listen, if you
Hmm.
watch the interview, literally this is all an experiment. Like there is no defined utility or use case for Miami Coin.
Well, when I saw the
Like
amount going back to
none.
the city, I was like, that's weird. You guys already get taxes. Why do you need any amount from
So
anything else? That's weird.
speculation. So in theory, and this is what he explained, that I did think like, wow, if it could work, it could be pretty good. But so from how he explained it, it's like the mining that like the revenue from the mining on the blockchain is supposed to generate up to speculative, right? It's supposed to generate up to $60 million in the first year. That's what they were expecting. So that is supposed to go to cover expenses for the city and replace taxpayer dollars, if that makes sense. I don't
But
know if I explained
there's
it
no
really
state
well.
tax in Miami, right?
Well, in Florida, yeah, we don't have state tax.
Yeah. So it would go for federal taxes. You wouldn't have to pay any federal taxes.
No, it would go to like the municipal budget because we still have
Oh,
like property taxes here and stuff,
oh yeah.
which
But that's
like
like
a lot of
federal stuff.
things.
Yeah.
So yeah, like this is his hope, but like one,
No,
430% APY, like that just doesn't sound
that's
right.
weird. And wasn't the
Like,
mining weird too? It was like you set it up yourself. It was like one of those node projects, like on the internet. Like the mining was
dude,
weird. It wasn't like mining. It was like you bought a certain amount and then I don't know. It wasn't mining like by hardware.
that I don't even know, but so he was asked like what about people losing their money, because like at the beginning like it had like a substantial amount of investment, and he responds, well, I want to be clear, this is not our coin, this was done by an outside group of people, and we have done significant amount of due diligence, but we bear no liability.
That's what
This
someone
is
says right
this
before
is
they
his.
prevent themselves from getting sued, but okay. Like, okay. Okay.
And then, like, he went on to say, the question is, does Miami Coin remain a store of value where people are excited about the brand?
Oh no,
Brand,
baby.
like,
He got a
what?
check for
And
that. He
and then
got a
he
check
says,
for
and
that.
finding it to be a coin to maintain or grow value over time, or if it has a different use case. So you're not even sure what the use case is of it then. And he kept going like back to talking about Bitcoin, how Bitcoin is like at the moment like a store of value because that's all it is. It's not a currency. It doesn't hold all of the characteristics of a currency. Um, but Bitcoin is a store of value, and then you can't even use like at many places, at many retailers, you cannot use Bitcoin to transact with because it just doesn't make sense, right? That's not what Bitcoin was like even like built for. Well, kind of like it was a prototype, but it's not. It doesn't work like that. Like it's not good enough. First generation, right?
Wait,
Um,
okay. I found the way it mines. It sounds really weird. So it says the community mines to create city coins. Mining city coins is performed by forwarding STK tokens into a smart contract in a given stacks block and is a one-way process. Miners are rewarded with the new city coin tokens. Stackers receive STK spent to mine on city coins. 70% of the mining rewards are distributed to people who choose to stack their city coins. And step three is the city reserve wallet grows. 30% of mining rewards are sent to Instax to a city custodial reserve wallet. The city can claim this and convert their STX to USD whenever they want. No. Like, what?
that sounds like a whole ass mess.
Because whenever they do this node mining process, I'm confused because it makes it the technology is being done with the person. I think they're saying that you're mining from ownership of the coin, but there's no technology that you own that's doing the process. That means someone else is doing the process based upon your ownership, which I don't find to be provable, if that makes any sense.
Right.
So I think they're just lying, essentially, and then issuing more coins per the amount of tokens bought.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me just because this guy is like very slimy anyway. But yeah, like it just none of this makes any sense to me. Again, I would invite you, if you haven't already, and everyone that listens to this to go watch that interview, because it's just like it's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. It's pathetic. And like this was back then. I think this was back in September. Um, when they had this conversation. And it has not been very great since then. And also, the city of Miami cashed out in they so he tweeted, he said, I'm so excited to announce that city of Miami has received its first ever disbursement from at mine city coins totaling 5.25 million. This is a historic moment for our city to collaborate with an innovative project that creates resources for our city through innovation, not taxation.
Yeah, but we don't know how much you guys are getting and keeping and doing whatever with. So
Well,
bye.
that, but also, so like the current price of Miami coin, as of earlier today, is 0.0012 cents. So
When did it?
like
When was it all time high? Was six? It was 6 cents.
its all-time high was 6 cents, and its market cap is $23,703.46 as of
How's it
like
$23,000?
that's according to Coin Market Cap.
That's so
That's
low. Wait, but how much did Miami get from it? Like their first withdrawal?
5.25 million, but
That
they did
the
this back
math
in February.
isn't math.
The math isn't mathing, but they did this back in February because the market was like dumping, and also that's not when you're supposed to take profits.
They're idiot.
But they they according to the mayor of Miami's Twitter page, 5.25 million
But the
back in
total market
February.
cap is only 23,000. That doesn't even make
The
sense. How are
the
you able to pull
current
out that much money? Did you pull out
I
that
think
money and dilute the market cap? They pulled out the money and diluted the market cap. That's sad.
and
You
now there's
scammed your own
money.
city.
But he does it like with real estate developments. So I mean
Because
not
when I saw this, I was like, this is a great concept. I just don't trust our government to utilize this to benefit anyone
our
but
government
themselves.
officials or
It's
like
like,
guys like Francis Suarez who's super freaking greasy.
but if you think about this puts us back a step. We didn't want cryptocurrency for our own government. They have money, they have reserves. They send money to whatever country needs help, whether or not we need, like that's a whole nother story. I don't feel like we need a cryptocurrency that benefits the city we live in. They have like California has a $68 million surplus last year in tax dollars. There's enough money floating around the cities that we live in. They don't need a
Right.
third entity to acquire that by crypto assets.
Right. Via scams from, regular people investing in the project because again, they see an authority figure like what is supposed to be a legitimate authority figure shilling them this coin, this fake project that, oh, by the way, we didn't do it. It was a whole other third party that it's not the city of Miami's coin. We did our due diligence, but we're not responsible if you get scammed.
And again,
Bro,
SEC, he wanted fingers to point and things to be upset about. I think this is it. Like they're
yeah,
always like
yeah.
on the wrong. Like this is not okay because you have a government official
You have a
basically
government
co-signing
official
a
doing
coin
it.
to this and then withdrawing a certain amount and diluting a market cap. Which it's again, if this were a stock, he would be in jail. And that's all I'm
Yeah,
saying. And
for
that's
like
how you guys are
years,
treating
but
crypto. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he probably wouldn't even go.
yeah,
But
but you have to protect all of the little people from,
I mean, I thought that's what they were doing. But
getting in on legitimate projects. And but again, it's like how does someone
that's
that
evil.
doesn't know any better, that was able to, avoid all of the celebrity influencers and scams, but then you see a politician who
Hmm.
again is supposed to have, a certain level of authority, a certain level,
Hmm.
like some type of trust or credential, and you see, wow, this guy's doing this for his city, it's super innovative, it's super great, wow, this is amazing, and then like it's also a scam.
Yeah, and I also don't want
And
to
like
hear anyone saying, "Oh, let's accept cryptos for taxes." Cryptos taxes, the government should not be receiving any portion of crypto. And if you guys can't approve it, why do you hold on to it? I don't see how that's a thing. It shouldn't even be legal for them to hold it. You can't decide on what type of asset it is. You shouldn't be able to hold it. You shouldn't be able to accept it. You, like it's just
you
weird.
shouldn't be running a validator node, you
You
shouldn't
shouldn't
be
be running a
being
validator.
validated.
Oh, who has one? Uh,
SEC has runs a Ripple node.
bye. That's it. I had enough. Bye. Bye. How are you going to sue someone and run a validator node on the same cryptocurrency you're suing for? Oh my God. Is it the crack? What?
Listen.
What? I didn't know that. That's upsetting.
Yeah, when we do that episode, and
That
y'all,
episode's
when
gonna
we get
be.
to that episode,
We should wear suits.
listen,
We should wear
listen,
suits.
we should wear suits.
Yeah. and bring a briefcase and slam it on our desk just for
Like
like
this is ridiculous.
implication, like just for the effect of
Yeah,
ridiculousness
because
because it's
it's so
ridiculous.
serious and it's so stupid. It's so
That's
serious and it's so
crazy.
stupid.
I've never bought something or participated in something and then tried to sue it while holding on to it and while making profit from it at the same time. I've never done that.
Well, so there's actually off topic and again other episode. But briefly, there is actually no incentive on running a node on the XRPL.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That yeah. So, but that's actually the best incentive is no incentive.
Mm.
Um,
Wait, but that means they can see
whereas
transactions, so they would know they could, like they could. Oh, yeah. So it makes it dumb
that's what
again.
makes it even more stupid. Yeah. That's what makes it even more stupid and more ridiculous. But yeah. So like proof of stake, we're staking whatever. Mining, we can have a bajillion miners and
Hmm.
make money doing both. But with the XRPL and their consensus protocol, like no, you're just doing it like because you really love the project
Yeah, I
and
like
you
that.
wanted to spend your
That's
money on the
cool.
equipment. Yeah, no, it's great.
That's cool.
And it's also like a security mechanism, right?
Hmm.
And then also the reason why XRP is not free to transact, but it has like a fraction of a penny transaction fee, is to prevent DDoS attacks.
Hmm. That's lovely.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. Like I
I
absolutely love it. But
I personally
other
I
episode.
I think that people and government shouldn't be able to like hold cryptocurrency or stocks or assets. Like they should have to put them through a trust, like a legal trust or authority, or have a third party do it for them.
Mhm.
But I personally find it to be insensitive because they obviously have access to communications files and technology that the average person doesn't. And then, we're
Yeah.
already barred from being institutional investors because I think you have to have like what 25 grand or more to be considered like an actual investor in the stock market. It's like
No,
a, isn't
I
it?
think to I think it's like 100,000 that you
Yeah.
that it takes to be
I
considered
forgot what it's
like an
called.
institutional accredited investor.
Yes, accredited investor thing, which is
Yeah.
rude because
Yeah,
how are
no.
you going to tell me what, just because you have more money than me,
Too
you're a better
poor.
investor? Because that's not
Right.
true. They just dump
I'm
their money into stuff.
I'm
So,
too poor to invest in things that are legitimate and early at a really good price point, but also you want to like prevent me from investing in things that like I don't have to be an accredited investor for. Also, you are not protecting me against
no.
all of these scams that are out here.
I was just watching a video on how like the accredited investor thing was not created to protect us. It was created to reduce us in the
Mhm.
market,
Yeah,
obviously.
exactly.
I mean, I don't think it's fair. I mean, if I actually researched a company, I am interested in it, I want to invest in it before IPO. I mean, look at us. We use Discord, we use Reddit. Those are companies I've used for years. Why can't I have
Right.
access to the IPO to that? I use Discord every day. I probably use Discord for quite some time in my life. I check Reddit
Right.
all the time because Yelp can be manipulated, the reviews can be taken down. Open Table, the reviews can be taken down. If I go on Reddit and review something, that's going to be accurate. I can trust Reddit
Right.
because somebody's pissed off about
Mhm.
something on Reddit and they're going to type about it. I trust Reddit. So,
No,
and
yeah, absolutely.
why can't people who had a hand in growing these companies, because how did Discord, Robinhood, and Reddit grow? We grew it by its usage. Wall Street's bets.
Mhm.
You would A lot of people didn't know what Reddit was until they saw Wall Street bets and like the
Right.
combining communities growing there. Like we
But
build these
we're too poor
companies,
to invest in them
but we can't invest in
early.
them.
Yep.
Okay, sure, great.
And that's another
That's a
scam,
problem.
but that that's definitely another scam, but yeah,
That's
that's
why we
why
like
guys are
crypto
just swamped in scams. Yeah, that's why we like crypto, but also that's why
originally
like yes. But
with
also
the
that's why it's so important for us to like get out to people that are new to crypto or that are just dabbling in like hey, like there's like a whole bunch of scams out here and this is how like you should identify them and like just stay away from influencers, including politician influencers
but
because
also
they're just as bad.
yes, the devils. But also I, realizing what is a long-term investment and a short-term investment. What do you want to hold? What do you want to fold? And you need to know that before you
Right.
buy something. because you some
And
people are holding on to Safe Moon like it's going to be the shining gold nugget, and people are
and
fighting in the comments
Doge.
and getting tattoos of Safe Moon on their arm, and I'm like,
Mhm.
you guys are
And
going to
like
be
Shiba.
crying, like
Yeah, just
you,
like just silly things, silly things. Don't ever invest anything more than what you're willing to lose, right?
yeah,
Like if
man.
you think you're gonna get rich quick, like you're not going to. It's not
And
going to happen.
there's a
You're gonna lose a
psychological
lot more
aspect to
money.
that too. When you lose that with all your investment into
Mhm.
a project, you're gonna lose your shit. And now and people who have been in the space since like 2017, 2013, they've lost their bags and grew them back. But you got these new investors, you guys, they're not ready for it.
No, and
They're
you
not
guys
gonna fare
also like
well.
are not at the price points that we were back in early 2020 and
Yeah,
2019 back
we're not
then.
we didn't pay that much for some of these coins. You're buying them like people who are buying Bitcoin and like buying Ethereum at $2,000 and watching it dip and complaining about a 30%. You know, these are things that we bought for like 30, 600, you know what I mean? Like it was below 1,000, you know?
Mhm.
Or, you know, so it's like you guys are buying, it's like a stock. You don't buy at the all-time high. You never, it doesn't even matter if it's doing well. If you have that money, if that type of money, that's you, baby. Go buy at the all-time high. But if you don't, there's no reason why you should be buying at all-time high. And you need to, if you can't determine what that is due to price action for the past few years, you don't even know where you're, what is the top, what is the bottom.
Right. And when it gets to the time that everyone starts talking about it, that like you know that they have absolutely no type of idea like what is going on, but they
I would
mention it
sell
to
it and
you,
then buy it more. Yeah.
that's the time to get out. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
the time to get
Sell
out.
half your portfolio and then re-enter. Yeah, let me just
Mhm.
say this from another perspective. You can always sell at its highest and rebuy back when it dumps. That's why when everyone was doing that with Doge, I was just like, just get your money, buy it when it's like at the bottom. Because then some people are like, they sold and they rebought it like 40 cents. It's like
Mhm.
wait till it crashes, like wait till it falls to its
Yeah.
lowest point. It's like you don't buy at the top. You can take your profits, always take your profits, always get your initial investment out. That way you can't cry about anything. You don't care. It's like, all right,
Mhm.
I made whatever I put in. Now this is, you know, I'm curious. Let's see what it does. Let's see how it performs.
But people also have to like know how to do that because getting in, especially with these scam coins, especially with these meme influencer coins, or again, even Miami coin, it's like they're available on one exchange.
Yeah, for
Or
sure.
for example,
For sure.
Doge back in like early January of last year before
Hmm.
I think I
You
think
had
it
to
hadn't
know.
even hit 4 cents yet, right? But
Yeah.
I was holding Doge on my Exodus wallet and there was no way for
Hmm.
me to cash out.
Yeah.
None. And
Yeah.
then even when I wanted to do an exchange, like they're like, "Oh,
They
well,
block the exchanges.
the network's
Yeah.
down right now, so we're not allowing this."
Yeah.
So people get stuck holding on to a bag that they really didn't want to or could afford to hold on to in that way either.
Yep.
And those are definitely things that people need to consider and people need to um like take into account, especially if they're new. But of course, if you're new, these things probably aren't going to occur to you because
Yeah.
you're so
So
used to a traditional finance system.
yeah.
You're not used to exchanges. You're not used to wallets. You're not used to
Yeah.
all of these things.
I'm just gonna say, you know, making money off of shit coins is a skill, you know, and a lot of people think that they have it,
Yes.
but you don't. You don't have that skill because you would
Yes.
have to determine what is a shit coin, how long is this, when is it no longer popular, when can I offload it at
Mhm.
its highest, you know. And Doge is one of those things that it is meant to dump. It is a dumper, a dump truck, you
It's a
know. So
meme.
it's a
It's a
meme. It's
meme.
a
If it's
fucking joke.
created to be a meme, then why for a second would you think that this would be like an even remotely serious investment?
I mean, I
I
think
don't understand.
they've talked about decreasing the amount that's like made, and you know, but after the fact. This is how long has Doge been around? Like decade, like maybe like 8 years.
For a
I don't know
while.
how long, but it's old. It's old coin.
It's also going to be minted on Flare as an F asset, so it could potentially
I
bring
mean,
like
Doge is a shit coin. I wouldn't. I
value
That's a
and
coin.
utility to it. But yeah.
That's one of those things where you throw something in it and you don't care. You just don't. You can't have any attachment to that. If it does what it does, it does what it does. But people are holding on to it like it's their first crypto project, and that's the problem. You
Well,
have to
for a
know,
lot of
like,
people, it is their first crypto project.
I know, but like, it's their first crypto project that they intend to hold long term. It's the type
Mm-hmm.
of crypto profit project that you take profit whenever you see it's humanly possible. Like, you just, all right, thank you. You treat it like it's
Yeah.
like a cash cow. That was the purpose of it. It's not
And
a
if
hold
that's your
forever.
strategy, that's cool. But you have to
But
be aware that that's your strategy.
yeah, for sure. And a lot of people are just buying it with no strategy. And then asking me, when should I sell? I don't know when you should sell things that are in your wallet that you hold for yourself
Yo, I
because
have
that's
people
for
that ask me
you.
all the time,
I
should I
hate
buy
that
this? Should I
question.
sell this? Should I buy this? Should I sell this?
Honey,
Like,
you
I
should have
don't
known
know,
that
dog.
when you bought it.
Yeah, like what's your strategy? Oh, I don't know. Well then, dog, like I don't know how to answer that question. Like I could drop a fib really quick and let you know, more or less where I think it's gonna go.
Because let's put
But
in the perspective of Bitcoin. Bitcoin, we all hold to infinity, some of us, because we know that it has a cap supply. When something has
mhm,
a cap supply, it's going to run up due to how much is left. That's simply the formula. When something does not have a cap supply, Lord knows what its ultimate value would be. And not in a
exactly.
good way. Not in a good way, in a horrible way.
Even with a burn mechanism, even with a burn mechanism, because
Yes.
I can handle what is seemingly a high supply, um,
If it
and what the
decreases.
reason why yeah, if it has a burn mechanism, and the reason why I say seemingly is also because you have to identify, like, okay, what is this even supposed to be for? Because again, super biased, it's my favorite project you all will come to learn and love. um XRP has, I think it's 100 billion coins. Like
Hmm.
there's never going to be more than that, right? But there's like 100 billion. Well, Ripple is setting out to solve a 24 quadrillion dollar problem. So if you do some division, like that's fine. You know, that's not too many coins. It's not a
Yeah.
ridiculous amount when you look to see what it's actually trying to solve and what it's actually going to be used for, factoring in deflation, right?
Yeah.
And a burn mechanism. But
Yeah.
when you have things that are like 2 quadrillion or whatever Ethereum
But the thing that
max that we talked
people
about
don't
earlier.
people don't get also, it's like if some of these coins are not usable on a peer-to-peer situation, so it's like they're just not usable at all. And that's the thing,
At
people are like,
all.
how does this coin go in price? I can't use it, I wouldn't know. That's another thing. When you What do people do with it? And if you can answer that question, that should be a red flag for you there, because
Well, and I think that's a great point to, like, round out this conversation, is that does utility need influence? And I don't think so. I
no,
think that
the
if
work should speak
something,
for itself. Picasso.
the work speaks for itself. If it answers a real world problem, if it solves a real world problem, then you're probably in good hands when you're trying to invest into it, if you're considering holding that in your portfolio. But if it doesn't, if you don't know what it does and all it's supposed to do is go up and make you money, again, unless if that's your strategy, homie, like you're probably looking at a scam. If there's a celebrity, even if there's a politician that seems trustworthy, like you're probably gonna end up stuck in a scam if it can't answer that question.
Like, let's look at ETH. I don't like using ETH, but I do know holding ETH is very financially prosperous. I mean, it was, they set it where the gas fees would be equivalent to 0.00 something something of an ETH. But we have to remember that price increases due to how many people are using it versus the price of the Ethereum today. And we'll,
Mm-hmm.
ETH, let's say it randomly went to 10K. How much do you think gas fees would be? Oh my God. I couldn't imagine a scenario like that. It's already bad. Ugh. Yeah, but
Yeah,
again,
and it's gonna
oh
exclude.
God.
You can't have a blockchain that functions when it excludes most of the people that would even want to be able to use it, just
Well,
because
that's
there's such a high financial barrier to entry to
I can
and to usage of it,
I
right?
can honestly say
um
ETH was coded to be expensive. I don't think it was coded to be psychotically functional. Like it is functional, but not on the way that we're building on it. We're all like riding ETH like it's a horse, and everyone's
well,
building
but
on it.
ETH is still kind of like in the prototype stage, right? If you really want to think about it, because they're still building it out. Ethereum is not scalable. There's a reason why they want to convert it to 2.0. It's because 1.0 is not, like, it's a no.
I mean, we have to look at crypto is building blocks. And I think we look at them as like perfect solutions. They are not perfect solutions. They are temporary solutions
Mm-hmm.
to large problems with millions of dollars on them. There's going to be flaws, but the issue is when we're using a building in the middle of construction. Is can this building support the levels of constructions that are happening on it?
And not
Levels of
only
constructions
that,
are by usage, these NFT mints. I don't think Ethereum is the blockchain for NFT mints. Yes, we can do it, but no, it's getting a
yeah,
little ugly out here.
no, and it's not only that, but it's like, okay, there are other blockchains that do Ethereum better than Ethereum, right? There are better blockchains that do NFTs better than NFTs that are not going to cost you. And that's another thing that like if you're new to the space, even if you're not super new to the space, but if you're somebody that's interested in NFTs, that's definitely something that you should consider because like Ethereum is not built out yet. It's not finished. It's not scalable. There are other blockchains in existence that you can do these things on better, cheaper, faster,
I want to say Solana, but my
and with
baby
less
keeps
security.
crashing on me.
Yeah, so
I want to
so
say Solana, but I think it was okay. Another thing that is an issue. So I've learned that when they develop these like blockchains or smart contracts, some of these
mhm,
issues are unfixable. Like no one talks about that enough. Like they have to either do a fork or do a scale, but some of these issues that they're having, they're going to keep having them. Like it's just because when
right.
they wrote them, it was written into the code of the blockchain or the smart contract. So
And
everyone's
that's
saying it like,
something
oh,
that
we're gonna fix it. Yeah, no.
but it's on the team to be forthright about that, right? And then it's on people that are building on top of it and that are building these projects on top of it to say, you know what? Maybe it's better for us to, build our NFT on Hedera or on the XRPL or even though Solana, they had their crash incident,
Ugh, I just
maybe
want
even on
Solana to do
Solana.
well. I really want
Yeah,
Solana to do well,
same here, same here.
but
And I think it has the potential, and I like that they also use consensus.
I think
Like even
their
if it's their
situation is a
own, like,
validator thing, right? Like they need more. Like there's not enough. I'm not. I need to really get into them
yeah,
because I
I'm
want
not
to figure out what's
entirely
wrong.
sure. We can totally do an episode on that though, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure our listeners will also be like super curious and interested to learn about that as well. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you guys don't have to do NFTs on Ethereum or anything that's built on top of Ethereum. Just throwing that
Just
out
because
there for
the
anybody.
hype is there doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
we're at that level with development where it's functional. These gas wars that have been happening are not okay. And I know a lot of people don't like to say that because they don't like to talk negatively about Ethereum. But as someone who uses it regularly and I've tried to do something and sometimes it costs the whole cost of what I'm doing. It's the same price. It's like a top and bottom, they're the same. When in reality, I can't even. I've had situations where I couldn't even move my money over. I would have to rebuy Ethereum in the transaction to do something because it would cost more for me to send Ethereum from my wallet to my MetaMask. And I
I
understand that you.
still have. Oh, wait,
What?
sorry to
No, no.
interrupt,
Say what
but
are you
I
gonna say?
I still have like ERC20 tokens in my Coinbase wallet that I cannot exchange because the fee to exchange them is way more than the amount that I'm even trying to exchange. Like
Exactly,
I
and that's a
literally
problem.
cannot do anything with it.
And I love ETH, but I'm saying it's a problem. Like I love projects, but like if you do not function and you cost me money when I already spent a lot of money in on crypto
Mm-hmm.
and Web3 stuff,
Yeah,
don't play
I'm
with
not gonna
me.
love
Like
you
that's
that
not
much.
cute. Like I don't like
Yeah.
you that much. And there's a problem. And the fact that even with this new when they do ETH 2.0, it's not going to address it. That's a huge problem to me. It's like you addressed your your mining situation, but you didn't address the people who are most affected by this, which are people who use Ethereum to buy NFTs, to do transactions, to do use dApps. Like they're the people that are hurting the most in the situation. I don't give a fuck about the miners. The miners have made millions of dollars from this whole situation.
Right.
Millions.
Right. And the thing is that when they transition to proof of stake, it's like what we talked about the other night. How many large
Mm-hmm.
stakeholders are there actually?
Because even if you would have bought it last year at 600, that's still a lot to buy 32 of them. How did you guys even decide upon that number? Like, who woke up and said you need 32 Ethereum to be a validator? Like no,
Yeah.
that's rude. Like someone in your never mind. Let me just I'm gonna stop because I'm yeah, it's rude.
Another episode, another episode, another
Mhm.
episode.